Webs.
What is the internet?
What? Yeah, really.
What is internet?
That episode
what
of
is
The
the
Simpsons
internet?
came up on my Simpsons channel the other day, where Carl and Lenny and Homer talk about the internet in the 90s, but it's like a flashback version of them from 2008. And there's a bunch of internet jokes, and they're all about the lining of men's swimsuits.
Oh,
Yeah.
are you a Simpsons guy, Steve?
I'm aware of the Simpsons.
Aware.
I was never a Simpsons guy.
You guys are
either.
the wrong age to
Sorry.
appreciate the Simpsons.
I
You
love
gotta
the
be
Simpsons.
okay. Willis
I've
is the right
watched
age.
enough of it. I like it, but yeah, the only internet reference from The Simpsons I remember that I use frequently is when Homer became king of the internet.
Oh yeah.
Which was when he basically became an ISP and he didn't understand how they worked, but he just knew that they got a lot of money and did nothing.
Yeah, and then Bill Gates came in and bought him out. Right.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Well, welcome. Hello, everyone, to the pre-show of The Full Nerd. We are going to talk about PC-related topics. And I said, you know who is Mr. PC himself? Steve from Gamers Nexus. So I called him up, said, hey, what's going on, man?
Yeah, well, it's not even PC this time, right? It's if PC is defined by Windows, then it's not PC.
PC is never, personal computer has never been, in the olden times, back in the beginning, back when I was a boy.
Okay, Grandpa.
You could have a personal computer from IBM that ran OS2 Warp.
Okay.
We ran Windows 3.1 apps. We called them programs back then.
Okay, Grandpa.
The program.
I wore a mouse on my belt because that was the style at the time.
Time for bake,
I thought
Grandpa.
it was an onion.
Well, I mean, look, I was trying to make it computer.
Oh,
'cause
okay.
This is the number one place for
Oh,
PC.
mouse. Oh, I thought you
Yeah.
meant an actual mouse,
No,
like
that
a
would be
field mouse.
weird. Oh, gross.
Well, same as an onion. Wouldn't it be weird to wear an onion on your belt?
I mean, I think you wear a lot of things that are weird every day, Adam. But,
Steve, do you have a belt buckle? What is that? I don't know if I've ever seen your belt. Do you have a belt?
Are you
I do
belt?
have a belt.
Okay, you're a belt guy. Do you have a buckle?
You don't remember?
No, I don't remember your
You don't
buckles.
remember?
Wow.
Dang, Steve, you're just throwing me under the bus here.
Wow.
TMI.
It was a flash, you know. It went by in a flash.
I assumed Adam has a big Texas belt buckle because he's from Texas. Does it say like
I'm
8
not
p.m.
actually
on there?
from Texas.
Yeah, you Texas-ish.
You lived at one point.
I lived there
Yeah.
3 times actually.
Yeah, you must really like it if you went back 3 times.
Well, yeah. One of them was my own. Anyway, let's get to hello. We're here. We should get
everyone.
into it. Willis, how the hamsters?
Hamsters running. Yeah, hopefully a lot better than this time. Did we give the hamster a name yet? We were going to name it. Is it Hamster Steve? not you, Steve.
No.
Not after you. We were at one point during the pandemic. We were playing Halo. We were streaming Halo for the longest time, and we named one of the NPC characters Steve.
Oh,
Yeah.
excellent. Yes.
Yeah, and he
I
always
hope that
died.
NPC survived.
No,
Okay.
he always died.
So yeah, hamster's good. Hamster is
All right.
rolling.
Well, let's do the intro. I don't even know what we're talking about, so let's wing it. You ready?
Yep. Go ahead.
In this episode of The Full Nerd, we talk about new Steam hardware, yes! Ryzen market share, and PCWorld's best of 2025. And welcome everyone to episode 373. That's what it says in my notes of the Full Nerd Podcast, the best podcast in the universe about the most nuanced PC hardware takes.
You've escalated. It used to be just the world.
That's okay. Anyway, I am your fill-in host, Adam Patrick Murray, but I am not alone. I have a grouping, a smattering of people that are joining me today. First up on the line, we have one Steve from Gamers Nexus. Hello, Steve.
Hello. Yes, a lot of Steam news today.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And next to me here at the table is one William Smith. Hello.
Hello, ahoy hoy.
Yeah. We were so excited. You brought it up.
I said, hey, Valve announced that they're going to announce some stuff.
And I literally pooped in my
Adam,
pants.
You didn't poop your pants, but you did start spinning around on the ground like Homer Simpson. You laid down on the ground and you were going, whoop, 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 whoop.
Yeah. That was wild. Oh, we have another person joining the line.
Oh, wow.
So we're live. We're doing this live.
Hey, Sean, you're live on the internet.
Yeah.
Also, you're muted.
You're muted. Sean Hollister from The Verge has joined us. You're muted on Zoom. And we are live. Hello, Sean. Can you hear us? Okay, we're gonna give him a second to troubleshoot. Controlling the verticals horizontals is one Willis Lai. Hello, Willis.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, there's Sean. Sean, can you hear
Sean's
I'm
me?
here too. Sorry.
Hey.
No, it's fine. Sean, you're here. You're live on the internet.
Welcome, Sean.
Ooh,
Have you ever
love
been
being
live on the internet?
It is the best place to be unless you have something to hide, which I don't. So there we go. I can say everything now.
Yeah, there you go. You can say everything. Sean and Steve, do you know each other? Are you familiar?
We met at I want to say it was at the NVIDIA 50 series, was it?
It was. You
Yeah.
remembered it perfectly. This was last year at CES.
right.
We're coming up on another one already. Wow.
Yeah.
I came over and thanked you for some of the journalism that you've been doing.
I appreciate it. Yeah, it's
Nice.
There's been a lot of back then 50 series announcement. That was before
Back in my
NVIDIA
day.
had had become a $5 trillion company by market cap. So times were different back then. They were a
look at 'em
small-
now.
Only 3 trillion back
Yeah,
then. It was
yeah.
just a
Small
glint
startup.
in the eye of Anyway,
Yeah, well, we're going to dive right into it. No more pre-show banter because these guys have places to go. Let's talk about the big news that literally just dropped, and I literally pooped
literally
myself.
an hour ago.
Both Sean and Steve have seen with their own physical eyes the brand new hardware that Valve has announced. We have 3 pieces of hardware, a Steam Controller 2. Did they call it a 2 while you
No.
were there? Or they just
They
called it
did
Steam?
not.
Okay, well, that's stupid. The next one is Steam Machine. Did they call it a 2 while you were there?
No.
Okay, that's also stupid. And then 3, a headset. What was the headset name?
Dexter.
Dexter? What?
No, it's Deckard.
Deckard.
It's Deckard is what the code name has been for a long time, but
Yes.
Frame is what they
Frame.
call it.
There we go. Okay, awesome. Well, we're going to go through all this stuff. You guys have looked at different stuff. I have a Steam machine right here. I don't know if you guys went home with one.
The Alpha. You
know-
got the Alpha.
Yeah. They sent me home with a Steam machine. This one's from Alienware, so it's not as nice. But just kidding. Yeah, this is the OG Steam machine.
Is that 2016 era? Is that when they did those last?
2015, 2014,
Some-
or something. I don't remember.
Somewhere
I-
around there.
I- so-
I was here, so it had to have been post 2015.
We
did a
They
video on
showed
this.
that to me in 2014, and then they shipped it in November 2014 with Windows instead of SteamOS.
That's right.
Yeah. That was yeah. So no, we've actually, for people who've been watching us forever, this machine is usually on in the background, just powering one of our monitors. It's just a nice little piece of history.
Perfect use for
Yeah.
a launch Steam machine.
Unfortunately, it runs Windows 10, so it's air gapped.
Yeah.
Because
Well, but
can't take
okay.
Windows 11.
Hold on.
Womp.
But nobody
Anyway,
cares about
nobody
hardware
cares
from 10
about
years
this one.
ago. Can we talk
but they,
about the new
They have
stuff?
come out with a new Steam machine, Steam Machine 2. I'm just going to call it Steam Machine 2. Valve, they did it. It's been rumored for a while. I know you over at The Verge have written about the leaks and stuff, Sean. So you were there physically.
I was there physically. I've got to say, I need to hand a lot of credit to Brad Lynch, who keeps coming out with these amazing leaks parsed from the database. So when I walked into the Valve offices, I was like, I think we're going to see the headset. I think we're going to see a controller. I think we're going to see a dongle, and maybe a console. That would be great if we could see a Steam machine if they finally brought it back. But I didn't believe it, even though Brad Lynch believed it, because how could they come back and do this again? But they did. This cube that is barely bigger than a box of Kleenex. I asked them how big it was. They'd had it up on a projector screen. I don't know if this was your experience too, Steve. They had it up on a projector screen. I was like, I wonder how big how big it is based on those USB ports. And then Pierre-Loup gestures to the box of Kleenex in front of me and says it's a little bigger than that.
My experience was, they start with the slide that's like, this is all embargoed, and they don't tell you what it is yet. And I was kind of like, I really need to know what's coming up so I can figure out where the camera needs to be and everything. And on sort of the prep side, they said, yeah, we just want to frame this conversation, so blah, blah, blah. And I was like, Steam Frame, like the thing you filed the trademark on, and the guy said, I really need to get that word out of my vocabulary.
I caught that too. I also caught that. I'm so happy.
So
That's
so yeah, no, it's interesting. I think to me the Steam machine is almost far more interesting for the operating system implications. The fact that it's a mini PC is cool, but there's a lot of mini PCs and you can install Linux on them already. But the SteamOS, the implications of support on desktop side is I think pretty compelling. So
What do you mean,
that's cool.
Steve?
I just mean, so like Steam Deck has really propelled Proton development, so the translation layer for gaming, where like actually in some situations you see better frame time performance on the deck than you do in a comparable Windows device. Currently for desktop usage, you can install something like Bazite and work through Proton, but I think having Valve's name behind an official desktop distribution of a Linux operating system will probably help with adoption, or at least I would assume that their sort of general, more like put togetherness will help make the case for end users who are intimidated by Linux and having a billion distributions to choose from. And it may just help
I keep asking about this. I keep asking, hey, when you released the Steam Deck, you said there was going to be a general availability of SteamOS at some point. People could just download it. And that is kind of still the plan, it sounds like. It sounds like end users will be able to start loading this thing onto desktops, and we'll be able to do that ourselves. It does also sound like, though, that they're not going to have that general availability extend to manufacturers. They learned their lesson from the first set of Steam machines, from the Alienware Alpha, from all the Xi3 Proton or whatever that little tiny little box called that claimed to be SteamOS and wasn't quite. They learned that lesson, and so manufacturers have to partner with them.
It's like the Lenovo with the Legion Go S's and stuff like that.
Yeah. They tell me it's not like a business partnership. It's going to be more of like a technical partnership. They want to make sure it's good, that it works. But because Valve is 350 people, that's not going to happen often. That's not going to happen quickly unless something dramatically changes.
Yeah. So there is a video up, the announcement video. Well, you Sean, you have an article. You have a short form video as well. Steve, you have a long form video. Definitely go watch those. I'll link in the description. But Valve has their own video that's up on Steam right now that you can watch. They actually talked about 4 things. The first one was more like, hey, we got the Steam Deck. We love it. It's awesome. We're not here to talk about plans, but we are working on something. So did you get any more information about what's down the pike for the Steam Deck, first off?
Nothing for the deck.
Nothing. Not at all.
Absolutely zip.
Okay.
They told us very clearly they weren't going to talk about it. We do know that there are TMR joysticks drift resistant TMR joysticks in both the Steam frame controllers and the new Steam controller. Theoretically, a future deck would have them. They wouldn't even go that far.
There was a fifth one we haven't talked about.
Really?
Which is Vitaly on my team, the camera operator for the trip, at the end of the session, turned to the Valve people and said, "Is there anything you can tell me about Half-Life?" And then he said 2. He said Half-Life 2.
Okay.
And they said, "Yes, we can tell you all about that," before he realized he meant to say 3. So, but
so then he starts recounting, oh, well, Half-Life 2 came out in 2000.
Yeah. But we did follow up on that question, and there was also nothing they could say about Half-Life 3. So
okay, interesting. Okay, well, I mean, lots of hardware. Let's get into some of the specifics, and at any time, gentlemen, if you need to pop out, please feel free to do so.
Can I pop in, Steve? I've got one more question for you. Was your Valve building experience filled with security guards? Were there security guards lining? No,
really?
No, we wandered around aimlessly, and then eventually they located me because I was lost.
Wait, they had security guards everywhere? I've been there a ton, and they've never had security guards before, Sean.
They've never had security guards there in any of the times I've been there, and I'm privileged to say I've been there like 4 times before. They have not, and this time there were security guards on every floor of the building watching us. They outnumbered the journalists there like 2 to 1. I think they must have been doing something else in the building at the time.
Oh,
that
weird.
They didn't want us to see. I don't know if they're filming, final hours of Half-Life 3 with Jeff Keighley or something, but something is going on. I want to know what, particularly because Steve says there wasn't for his visit. What was different when I was there? I don't know.
Honestly, if they were going to put security on anybody, I'd expect it to be Steve and not you, Sean.
Yeah, right.
100%.
Well, no, he came with his own Secret Service detail.
Yeah.
That's right.
I want to talk about the hardware on the box.
My first question, because we can get to the details once you guys leave too, but my first question is Valve now a hardware company? Like, they focus so much on games and then Steam, and that's where they rake in all their dough, and my thought has always been like, hardware has just been a means to selling more software. Like, now they're coming out with essentially 3 new pieces of hardware, including the Steam Deck. You got 4. Like, are they a hardware company now, or do we still think of them as a software company?
I asked them.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say I would definitely consider them hardware. The engineering, like on the hardware engineering side, that they're pretty serious. Like they have actual thermal and acoustics engineers, and it's not like they're just partnering with other companies that specialize in things to have them subcontract it. They actually have engineers. And Valve was saying that one of their challenges is on recruiting. They have trouble finding hardware engineers to work for them because everyone just assumes they're like a platform company for software. So I would definitely consider it hardware. They did some pretty serious fluid dynamic simulations on the cooling solution for the Steam machine, and then a lot of acoustics tuning where they're, for example, counteracting the vibrational sort of force put out by the core unit on the frame headset with the speakers, with the drivers, to make sure it's not, when you stack waves, right, and you start amplifying it to make sure it's not disturbing yeah, exactly, yeah.
I asked them this question at the launch of the Steam Deck OLED. Are you a hardware company now? And they said yes. This time, they said that they'd become a hardware company actually a bit earlier, more the 2017 kind of range, I think is what they were saying. But recently, they've been changing the marketing and their own titles in the company to do what Steve was saying, to kind of make it clearer to the outside world that they do this. When they were doing this, not just the HTC Vive, but when they were doing the some of the other devices, some of the other earlier controllers, the Steam Deck, they did had some outside consultants that helped them figure out some of the design and manufacturing, and the Valve engineers learned a lot from that experience, started trying to pull those people in, started to do more of that hiring.
The thing that strikes me looking at them now versus 10 years ago when they were working with the HTC folks on the Vive and stuff like that is that they're kind of Apple-y in a weird way because they control both the software and hardware stack, and they have dedicated people working on both sides of that. Like the hardware work that they've done with this stuff wouldn't matter if Proton didn't really kick ass. Sorry, Adam. Beep. But it's also as if Apple was open. Like if you look at I watched a tested interview with Norman Chan interviewing the person who did the optics, the audio engineer, and Lawrence Yang, talking about the design of the headset, right? And they actually gave real answers to the questions, like talking to engineers and talking to real human beings. And if you'd watched that same interview with Apple, they would have done the same interview with every single person that they said, and there would have been absolutely no actionable information in any of it, right? So it's like they take the good parts of Apple and apply it to an open aesthetic, which I really like, because like I look at this stuff and I look at things like that controller having a built-in battery, and I'm like, man, usually I hate built-in batteries, but I know I'll be able to go someplace and buy that battery from Valve because they sell hardware separately, they sell the components separately, so you can fix your stuff. So I'm less concerned about it now. Like I'm okay with that in this case because of the way they operate their business, right?
You know that the battery will pop. Oh, Steve's going to say the same thing. Go ahead, Steve.
They also on repairability, like for the controller specifically, went for accessible screws, like not trying to make it a puzzle to pull apart.
Yeah.
So that was nice, yeah.
The battery has 3 spring contacts on it. It is meant to be pulled out.
Oh, and replaced.
Steam controller. You can pull it out, replace it like a phone battery as long as you go through those accessible screws first.
Yeah, that's rad. It's really cool.
And does that apply to the Steam machine as well?
Steam machine it's repairable in the sense that it's a computer in every sense. So it's the memory is SODIMMs, so it's laptop memory modules, so those are socketable. The SSD can support up to 2280, that's accessible. The CPU and the GPU are BGA, so they're ball grid array soldered to the motherboard, which has like pros and cons. The biggest downside is it will not benefit from the fact that AM5 is like probably going to be immortal like AM4, and so you're not going to be able to swap the CPU. The benefit is they can shrink it down more, and I guess just get a smaller footprint. Really, that's kind of the only upside of that. It might help with cost too.
It's to help with I think it helps. My understanding is it helps with clock stability on the memory bandwidth.
It should help with clock tuning. So they have a semi-custom version of what's effectively a 7640U. Basically, it's not exact. It's a little bit slower, but it's a Zen 4 CPU. It has 28 RDNA 3 CUs in it, which for reference, an RX 7600 has 32 CUs of the same architecture, so a little bit lower than a 7600 for CU count. But then to Will's point, they since it's semi-custom, they can work with AMD on the volt frequency curve. And being BGA might help a little bit with sort of power efficiency. So
Yeah, they said discrete GPU in this one, so it's the CU count gives it something kind of like a 7600S, one of those chips that you might only find in certain gaming laptops or eGPUs. It's kind of similar to an eGPU discrete chip
I've
in
had a
there.
couple of those too.
Yeah.
But it wasn't quite clear to me how much power you're going to get in there in terms of the actual amount of wattage being dumped in.
30
They
watt
said,
CPU, 110, I think.
okay, you got to 110 on the GPU?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go
The other
ahead.
thing about the memory is, and it kind of apologized for this, they said they needed the memory to be close to the CPU for bandwidth reasons and things like that. And so it's under all of the cooling. There's not like a slot, a bay where you can get the memory in and out. You have to go through all the cooling to do that. So you're going to be doing all the repasting or whatever you're going to do with a thermal TIM solution when you replace the memory.
And is it a unified cooler like a laptop? Did they give you that kind of information?
Single cooling solution so it's a one large fin stack with a 120 millimeter fan. It's like 27 millimeter thick fan, so a little bit thicker in some areas than standard, which helps with pressure. And then the cooler is connected directly to the CPU, the GPU, the BGA memory. So that would be I think GDR6 it is, and then the VRM components. So yeah, unified solution for all of those.
Did you hear it running? Did you hear actual hardware running? Was it loud?
It was running. I did not try to listen to it, but it also wasn't under any load when I was in there. So
I didn't get super close while it was, gaming, but I did not seem to be loud in the quiet room where we did a little bit of Cyberpunk. Like, it never occurred to me, oh, there's a loud fan in this room.
Oh, but it didn't sound like an Xbox 360 or an Xbox One is what I'm getting at, I guess.
The jet engine. Well, so, I mean, this is, all intents and purposes, a mini PC, right? Or does it feel more, because it is just so custom, did it feel more like a console? Like overly engineered to prioritize space and things like that?
To me, it's basically like a minis forum, small form factor PC. I guess it's kind of positioned as a console. I think people outside of sort of this audience maybe are able to be more easily targeted by marketing that calls it a console. Meaning it's maybe like a little more accessible, a little more plug and play and stuff. But you can get into BIOS, you can change BIOS, you can change frequencies, you can change memory.
Put a different OS on it.
Yeah.
Oh, you could load Windows. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, my big question, they talked about 4K 60 on this. I assume with RDNA 3, that's with FSR on, or no? Was it running raw? You have to Adams Farm FSR, but no frame gen because it's RDNA 3.
That's correct. I'll let Steve chime in too because he knows much more about this than I do. But what I got there at the event was they are saying that it can do 4K if you are using FSR. They're not claiming you're going to be doing native rasterized 4K for everything. That makes sense given the hardware. I did ask about frame gen and they said no frame gen. We're not relying on that at all. So
yeah, I think we didn't get into FPS numbers or anything like that with them. I saw someone else mention 4K 60 somewhere. I'm not.
Their video explicitly says 4K 60,
but with use of upscale FSR.
Yeah.
That marketing, either it was never put in front of me or I ignored it because 90% of the time it's bullshit. But 4K 60, I don't know. It's kind of like a stupid thing to claim just broadly because there's a lot of situations that's not going to be true. So
yeah, he's right. What I will say is I ran the Cyberpunk 2077 benchmark. I got 65 FPS average at medium settings with just the bare bones basic ray tracing turned on. That was 1080p output upscaled to 4K with FSR 3.0. So that's FSR 3.0 performance mode. So you're getting the 1080p to 4K that way. And the native raster there, 1080p. It looked fine from 9 feet away, sitting on a couch about 9 feet away. I measured. I think it looked good, but it didn't blow me away in any way, shape, or form. It's console performance. It's not, gaming PC performance.
Does this feel like hey, we wanted something for the, like, I feel like there were kind of two customers for Steam Deck. There were people who wanted a way to play the games that they've already bought and are playing in their office or on their gaming computer, but on the couch or when they're away. And then there's also people who were console gamers, maybe you're new to gaming and we're like, hey, this thing's $300. I can buy a gaming PC for $300. And now those people are looking for a better experience. Does it feel like it's targeting one of those more than the other?
Definitely not $300.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think they're gonna lose whatever. If there's any market appeal of like a cheap console, if it's purely on the price, they're not gonna be there. I don't know what their price will be. So they said entry-level gaming PC, which to me, that could be like $500 to $800 as of 3 weeks ago. Right now with memory, that is no longer true.
Yep.
But yeah, so they're going to be above a console for price. I do think it feels like I don't know. I guess it's kind of I like the framing of the question because I'm not sure. I haven't thought too much about sort of who the exact
where this
audience
fits.
is.
Yeah. Norm mentioned under $1,000 is what they said was their targeted price. They didn't commit to anything though.
Interesting. We weren't able to get that out of them.
Well,
they said under $1,000 for the under Steam. That the Steam frame headset would be under the Index, which means it's under $1,000. But I wasn't able to get.
Oh, maybe I misinterpreted what he was talking about was the headset and not the standalone.
Yeah. All they were saying for price on the Steam Machine console was that it will be priced similar to a PC with the same performance you could build from parts, which, poking around, there aren't really any PCs you can build with parts that are like these, except for, Steve brought up Minis Forum earlier. There was a Minis Forum Atom Man G7 PT that has a discrete GPU in it that sounds pretty similar to the spec here. And so that was $1,000 bare bones, bring your own memory, bring your own storage, bring your own OS mini PC. So I think they could probably hit that or beat that with the leverage that Valve could bring to bear. But I don't know if they're going to.
GPU, you'd be spending like $250 to get equivalent performance, and then maybe a little less. And then CPU, the closest thing might be like a 7500F or something, which if you count AliExpress, it's like $100.
If they're, I mean, also if they're doing close memory and they're doing memory bandwidth games to get you more juice, is it shared? It's discrete memory for the GPU?
Yeah, you can swap it.
So it's not an APU style situation. That's nice. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, I mean, well, the thing is, like, if you look at the Steam Deck, right? The Steam Deck is just still, these years later, the de facto device to be like, hey, just buy this because the price is usually underneath any of the other Windows equivalent stuff, and it's also an easier experience kind of thing. Can they do that for this as well? Can they say, hey, you know what, we got you on price here for an entry level gaming PC? So
here's the thing I've been thinking about is they have this Steam Deck base performance, right? They have the green check mark means you hit a base performance level on the Steam Deck at 1280 by 800 or 1200 by 800, right? And if they're able to say, hey, this GPU has this much more texture bandwidth, this much more memory bandwidth, this much more compute, they can ramp that up to 1080p and then upscale it to 4K. And that's how they get their 4K 60 across all the green checkmark Steam Deck games, probably. But I had a connection for your question. Now I lost what the question was.
That was a great question.
Adam,
Thank you, Will. Oh, that was perfect. Well, yeah. What do you guys think? Like, can they undercut? Well, because you're either comparing it with a console, which, I mean, the high end PS5 Pro is at what, $750 right now in the US. Is that what it is?
Valve might be the most profitable company per employee that has ever existed, based on the fees that they get out of Steam.
20% of every PC game sold goes a long way.
Is it only 20% now? It's not 30 anymore?
Well, you split the difference between the 10% and the 30%. Yeah. Anyway.
Fair. It's like they can afford to do whatever they want to do. Gabe said that it was painful but critical were his words, to bring out the Steam Deck for $400 originally. And one would get the sense that they subsidized it to make that happen. I don't know if that's what painful means. It might just mean they forewent some amount of profits. But I think the question is, the PS5 Pro is $750. Do they meet that? Did they go a little over it, 800, or is it something that is beyond PS5 Pro in price, and therefore we just can't make those direct comparisons? We can't say you can get it for the same price. We can't say you can just spend $50 more and get this instead, but it's rather like 900, 1,000, 1,100, 1,200, and then it just changes the conversation as soon as you escape the PS5 Pro's price velocity.
Well, because even if you look at the Steam Deck's closest console competitor would be the Switch 2, that's $450. So I mean, you're already in that ballpark. I mean, it depends whether you get the LCD or the OLED, but you're pretty much in that ballpark. Like, I feel like they have to try to hit that top end console ballpark. Like to make the normies.
On a PS5.
I know, but like to make the normies
boot into a full desktop. This is a computer, Adam. This isn't some toy for children.
But to make the normies be able to like absorb it the way the Steam Deck. And I'm not saying the Steam Deck was like a huge success. We're talking about 3 million units supposedly, kind of thing.
There was the last number I saw was 4.
Okay,
but so here's.
I mean, it's still low end console sales.
Will they say that they're making margin on this, or is this a zero margin product? Or all these zero margin products? Do they? Because like clearly they have data that says, hey, Steam Deck buyers are buying games at X rate that is some plus up of the normal. I have a PC from 10 years ago and I'm buying games that run on my 1080, right?
Yeah, it's kind of the old console strategy, right? I mean, like Will, you would know better than I do, but just reading the old headlines and rumors over the years, where almost every generation there was always some kind of Microsoft or Sony or whoever is taking a technical loss on this hardware, but they're going to sell Sony games and get the whatever publisher licensing fee or whatever it may be that they make it back. So
yeah, but there was always a gamble on that too, and also. Like Microsoft and Sony, especially in the early days of the like 360 and original Xbox One, were spending billions of dollars, right? And
right.
Like at a time when $1 billion was still a whole lot of money instead of just a lot of money,
right? When it wasn't just for pores.
Yeah, and like I just don't. I'm really curious. Like Valve has the data that tells them, hey, we know. They know exactly how many games on average a Steam Deck buyer buys versus somebody who's playing on a PC versus somebody who's playing on new hardware and all that. And they can segment out the audience in a bazillion different ways. And
they also had data originally that suggested people were buying the higher end Steam Decks as opposed to always going for the $400 one.
Yeah.
They said that at one point, maybe we'll rethink this in future for a future Steam Deck. It said something to that end. So I wonder if maybe the other thing is capacity. Like, if this is a hit, does AMD have the capacity? Does TSMC? Can AMD get the TSMC capacity to make a lot of these what are now older chips? Are they just lying around? Or do they need to be manufactured?
I think they can get the capacity because they will make infinite money on old hardware.
But isn't it all AI GPUs? Isn't everybody producing AI GPUs at that capacity right now?
Not AMD. Not
okay.
AMD.
Fair.
Well, and speaking of AI, my first thought when we were watching the reveal, because they didn't really get too much into the specs in their video, was like, oh wow, is this Strix Halo? But no, it's not. It's not Strix Halo. Like, right. Was there any mention of AI in this? Oh wow, we're leveraging the power of AI.
Not with us. I don't know if that's.
Oh, that's good. Okay.
Just because
probably no.
Okay, that's good. I mean, hey,
it was
it's
so
refreshing.
The word AI didn't come up once.
Okay, that's good. Is there even an NPU on this?
I
probably
do not
not.
Think so. It's Zen 4. Basically, my understanding was it's closer to a desktop than.
It's not Copilot Plus compatible. How are they going to sell these?
Dang it.
Okay. Can we talk about the? I don't want to waste your all's time with the VR stuff, but I am really curious because they introduced a new translation layer.
That was brutal.
Well, no. Like
Will has a history with VR. Okay,
look, I spent a good 7 years wearing a VR headset for many hours a day working in the space. I'm excited about their headset, but I realize that the audience here and the market in general is kind of about the
Right.
whole thing.
Well, maybe
Right.
this could make it.
But
Maybe this is the turning point
Nope,
for VR.
nope, don't.
Maybe
just
this
don't
is
even
it.
start. Don't even start with it. I don't want to. I don't need this abuse. All I wanted to talk about is they introduced an ARM translation layer,
Yes.
which, like, basically they said, hey, we have this approach that's to work with Proton. Norm's interview, they talked about FE. Is it FEX or VEX?
Vex, yeah,
Vex.
FEX.
Yeah, they were saying they sounded like they were saying the bad guys from Destiny, and I was like, they named it after the bad guys from Destiny. That's a weird choice, but anyway, they basically are saying, hey, we have a translation layer to take x86 games that run on Windows, run them on Linux, and then also run those Linux games on ARM now.
Yeah.
And they're using the same kind of block and tackle approach that they used for Proton over the last 7 years, to get to a point where a large portion of the library now works on ARM, which is amazing. And like, I wouldn't, if anybody else came, if Microsoft came to me with this pitch, I'd be like, yeah, good luck, guys.
Yeah.
I know how this has gone for you in the past.
Yeah. Good luck.
But they have,
I have
yeah.
to get going, but I want to plug.
Yeah.
Like Steve said earlier, that perhaps the most interesting part of the Steam machine for him is how it's going to bring SteamOS to desktops. The most interesting part of the frame for me is how it's going to bring Steam to Android and Android to Steam. APKs are coming to Steam. They're going to siphon off games from the MetaQuest library to run on Frame, but also other kinds of things can happen now that we've got Android apps running natively on an ARM chip through Steam, through Proton, making these apps feel at home. What does this mean now that Google is being forced to blow up the Android app store's dominance and let other app stores in? Is Steam about to be an Android app store where games are coming to your phones? A lot's going on.
I'm sure they would love that
Yeah.
cut, right? You know, the cut of that. Sean, before you head out, a couple questions. Is 2026 going to be the year of Linux?
Wasn't it already? Did we just cross?
I know that.
3%?
Well,
I think we crossed
listen.
3% on Steam.
Well,
Linux
you know,
games.
2025.
That's-
We
that's
Will and I
something,
know this.
yeah.
2025 is already the year of Linux
Yeah.
for us, but you know, for everyone else, 2026 could all this lead to 2026 being the year of Linux?
I think it's the year of Linux for every person whose friends say, screw Windows. I'm going to try installing this SteamOS on my computer now, as several of my friends have now done, as you've now done. It will continue to be the year of Linux for more and more people until suddenly Microsoft's wondering what the heck happened.
In 6 years, we're going to be saying, "Is this finally the year of Windows?" They're bringing it back.
yeah. Is Windows coming back?
You need to get a tiling window manager. It's going to change your life, Sean.
There you go.
Okay.
All right. Thanks for hanging out, Sean. I appreciate it. We'll catch up soon.
Everybody go read Sean's
yeah.
article. on
I
Verge
linked to it
about
in the
stuff that's
in the description. So go down.
Thank you, and thank you, Steve. And come to our AMA. As soon as you're done with this in 15 minutes, you're not going to be done in 15 minutes, right?
No.
Sorry.
Okay, after you're done with this wonderful conversation on the Full Nerd, come take a look at our AMA at The Verge, where people are going to come ask us questions.
Please
in our website.
do so. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Sean.
Have a good one.
Thanks.
So, Steve, how much time you got? Just want to do a time check.
I've got some time. Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. So the hardware inside, I do have some questions about the hardware inside because, like I said, I thought, wow, Strix Halo, but this actually seems a little bit older of a process. How important is it that it's only Zen 4 based cores
As opposed to Zen 5,
Yeah.
I guess. Zen 4 and Zen 5 are comparable enough overall where I think for this class of computer, it's fine. With the GPU is going to end up being a limiter, I think, in a lot of situations.
Well, yeah, because
so.
that's only RDNA 3, not even 3.5.
Yes.
So it doesn't have some of the nice enhancements to efficiency and things
RT
like that.
performance is a lot worse on that generation than
Yeah, so
current.
I was very confused by that. That seems like a real big step down compared to even the PS5. The PS5 Pro made some really big jumps in RT stuff. So is this going to be a limiting factor?
I guess, I mean, it comes down to I hate this answer because it's like kind of boring, but it is going to just come down to price, where you look at 9000 series GPU silicon, and the cheapest options for that are what, like still 300 plus or something, and then I guess they could do a cut down, but AMD hasn't really put out anything lower end than that on at least on desktop. I'm not super familiar with mobile. CPU, I don't think the Zen 4 part's going to matter that much, fortunately for them. It really is just going to come down to the GPU. So yeah, RT performance will be notably worse.
No FSR4.
Well, not officially. Yeah, I mean they did accidentally leak that. But
I mean they might be doing it themselves.
AMD.
AMD. Through the FP8. Yeah.
Yeah.
But everything I've seen with that testing is that you take a hit in that because it's trying to.
I think I would have to refresh myself, but I think Hardware Unboxed might have had one instance where something was better. I don't want to misrepresent their content. I'm not too sure, but I mean the point, the point of FSR4, yes or no, officially no, and then power efficiency, there were decent improvements generationally for Zen 5 and for RDNA 4, but since this is not a laptop, they probably get away with that not mattering quite as much. One thing that was on the cooler side was having the power supply be internal was kind of nice, just because a lot of the mini PCs, they'll cheat the volume spec they put on a spec sheet because they do an external brick.
Oh.
So, but my
I mean, I'm looking at this and it feels like I remember having these same exact conversations when they announced the Steam Deck about how compromised the RDNA 2 cores were and all that. And to me, I'm looking at this and thinking this is a machine that's going to run literally any green checkmark Steam Deck game really, really well.
Yeah.
At the green checkmark Steam settings. You're not going to be doing your ultra ray tracing with path tracing and all that in Cyberpunk or any of those games. You're not going to play Black Myth Wukong with ray tracing on this thing, but you're going to play the hell out of Hades 2 and Ball X Pit and all of these bazillions of games.
Hollow Knight or whatever.
Yeah, Hollow Knight. All of these are going to work really well on this box.
Well, but
and God of War and Spider-Man and all of those Sony green checkmark Steam Deck games.
I guess I'm a little confused though, because AMD, when they came out a couple weeks ago and had that video with Jack Hune and Mark Cerny, and just there was so much talk about ray tracing, being the future, and that's where they're focusing. Even the Xbox stuff is saying, generally generational leaps, and it probably means RT performance. RT is definitely the way things are pointing, but here then they're coming out with something that's hey, yeah, RT on this, it's not gonna be great.
But look at modern Valve. Sony is about selling the brand new hottest game with all the bells and whistles, all the stuff turned on.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at the top 10 sales list on Steam at any given moment, they're about the fat part of that curve. They don't care about the new stuff. They sell catalog titles constantly at huge numbers.
I noticed this is a little off topic, kind of going on the same path though, but I did see some reports recently about indie game sales on Steam and just kind of how much volume they make up now, which I think is awesome. That's really cool. So to that extent, wouldn't have trouble handling most of that class of game. The biggest thing I'm worried about with the Steam machine, and I did bring this up with them, but we didn't go super deep on it, is just thermally. It's got the smallest amount of clearance possible below the box. They're trying to fit within, I think they said, a 6-inch home media center, piece of furniture basically, and so that restricts them.
And I saw somebody report that it's 3.8 liters, so pretty small.
It is very small.
Yeah. Kind of like the framework desktop. Yeah, is what I was comparing it to.
Yeah, the fan's pretty cool. So they actually, Yazan over there, one of their engineers, was telling me they started with designing the fan in terms of trying to figure out the box size and shape. So I went with an axial fan, but it's very limited intake at the bottom, so there's not a ton of clearance. Valve they stated that they did a ton of computational fluid dynamics, simulation CFD, and with an unrestricted bottom, meaning infinitely tall feet, versus where it actually is, they claim they're getting 95% or so of the flow performance with what they have.
How much of a gap is there? We're talking about like millimeters.
Very tiny.
Like,
I don't have the exact measurement.
I mean, but like yeah, you're talking about like just like
less,
laptop
like a
feet
quarter
kind
of
of
an inch.
things, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like maybe actually similar to the one in front of you. Maybe
Okay.
it's hard for me to tell from here.
Yeah,
pretty small.
It's a little feet in it, but yeah, allows for
little
some
more than a
airflow.
laptop.
Okay.
Well, what's the flow pattern? Is that fan in the back? Is that exhaust or is that intake? What's
So the fan is 120 rear exhaust, so it's a pull configuration.
okay?
And one thing I did, so they did two things that I thought was like actually pretty clever with the setup. They may have, I think they like unnecessarily put themselves in a thermally restrictive scenario, but then they did try to find ways out of it, which was kind of interesting.
Huh.
So like at the back of the box, there's a really tiny piece of plastic or metal that protrudes from the bottom of the chassis in between the 2 feet, and that's intentional. That's to try and stop some recirculation of heat. And then they oriented the fan where it is because the cables come out right under it. And so their thinking was if HDMI is coming out of here, in the very least, the user's not going to be able to like push this flush against the surface. And so Valve at least expressed a lot of concerns with the living room environment where they're worried, I guess more casual users put it in just a sort of thermally torturous spot.
Hey, look, I have a good spot for this in my closed entertainment cabinet.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So that made sense. The flow path question, since exhausting at the back, so it's going to pull air relatively evenly between this really small sort of slit around the front panel. So it's all 4 sides of the front panel, which is detachable. Has a tiny gap in it, so some will go through there. If you pull the front panel off, it's just a mesh, just like it's like a power supply size mesh holes, and then the rest of it comes in through the bottom. You could actually just take the front panel off, and for me, that would resolve like 100% of my concerns.
Okay.
The only thing I'm not sure about that we'd have to test is, in doing that, you're removing resistance, and so less air will go in through the bottom, more air is going to come in through the front. I don't know if that leaves anything uncooled. But anyway, that was my main concern. Was I'm sure it operates technically within spec. But I think, Will, you had asked the question, or Adam, about noise earlier.
Yeah.
And I think like whatever the noise level is, I'm not sure, but my suspicion is that like a lot of poorly designed cases, it can be cooled, but it's probably louder than necessary to do it.
Is there like a tiny chipset fan, or does the PSU have its own fan, or is it just the one big fan?
So unless they were misremembering or wrong, there is no discrete chipset, so they're going all through the I/O die.
Oh, okay.
So no chipset fan. Now I did ask that question kind of out of nowhere, and he did seem like he was trying to remember. So it may not be correct, but that's what they said. And then the power supply, that's a good question. I'm not sure on the power supply. Power supply is pretty small. It uses a blade connector, so it's more similar to a server connector instead of cables. Which is nice. So it's sockets basically, which keeps it smaller.
Does that mean it's replaceable too then?
I do not think it's a standard form factor.
Oh.
I'm sure it's replaceable.
I mean, they've been pretty good about selling replacement parts for Steam Deck and Index and stuff like that, is my understanding.
It's not
So,
Flex. It's smaller than Flex.
I think it's smaller than Flex.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's also only 12 volts, not 12 VO, but it is 12 volt only.
Okay. Weird.
Are you like how like what was like? Are you feeling good about this? Did you leave hands on? Did you get hands on time with it, or were you mostly talking?
We're a little different. I was telling this to Valve too. They really wanted us to do the demos, and I was like, I'm not trying to be rude, but I really like. We've got 1 hour with each group. I need to just talk to you guys, So because we'll test it when we get it, but the frame I did wear briefly to look at their foveated streaming, which was pretty neat. But yes, how am I feeling about it? I think optimistic in the sense of the deck. I think has shown that in the very least, like kind of regardless of whatever Valve's capabilities are or aren't, the sort of audience or community for the product seems to exist, and I think with the deck, they're not on the best hardware, and yet it seems to be sort of the de facto choice for a lot of people, or in the very least, it's always in the conversation, even though it's older hardware. So I think the best thing, again, I think that comes out of this is just the operating system and some of the translation layer and emulation layer support.
Yeah, and the way I always think about it with the deck is like you shouldn't be buying that, or even most of the comparable Windows devices, to be, if you're like a bleeding edge, you love the latest and greatest, real flashy stuff, it's probably not for you. It's more like, yeah, you're going to play your indie titles, you're going to play, more lightweight stuff, or you just don't care about bells and whistles, and you're okay with just having everything look, low, and get a nice smooth 40 FPS, and just kind of have a device like. So if it slots into that, I think it'll be good. I think once again the price, that's where it's going to be the hard part. I am looking around. I wanted to look at that because I have actually a couple of the RX 7600 XT, or I'm sorry, 7600M XT eGPUs. They sell usually around like $500 kind of ish dollars, depending on the features. Sometimes some of them have like hubs and other things like that. This one from AOStar has a TDP or TGP, I don't know, I guess up to 150 watts.
Okay.
So this one,
higher.
this one's a little higher, and it does have 32 compute units versus 28. So yeah, it's also RDNA 3, so it's pretty similar,
right,
in that regard. So like, is this enough for most casual people? Yes, I think really the sticking point for most people to say, hey, I'm not comfortable enough to either buy or build a PC and connect it to my TV. Like, yes, I do it, but I'm a power user, right? Like, I think if this can get those people who are interested in PC gaming as a gateway drug to say, hey, it's super easy to use. Yes, it's more on the lower end kind of hardware or comparable to the consoles, then like I think that could be a win. I think it just really depends on the price.
Yeah, I think it does strike me as maybe more plug and play for the average person than a computer. Then, like, even if you buy, if they can't build a computer, whatever, they can go buy a Minis Forum system or something. But I think even in that situation, to not suffer, like, it still requires a little bit of knowledge, where maybe this is easier to deploy, but then you're still going to have some suffering with SteamOS. It's just going to be different suffering, like.
Yeah, like first time you try to play Fortnite, you're going to be disappointed, right?
Yeah. Well, but I mean, they did talk about local streaming, right? Yeah. So assume if you're somebody who has maybe your big beefy gaming setup in the office, but then you want to put this into the TV. Well, but then it's a price thing because you're talking about like
this is why the ARM thing is exciting to me, because this to me says, hey, we can sell a cheap ARM box that plugs into your TV for people who have the big PC in the other room and get the same streaming benefit that you get.
Oh, so you think maybe down the line like a Steam Link 2?
I don't think they're going to call it the Steam Link, given how many.
I don't know. They called this a Steam Machine, and the Steam Machine was an abject failure.
I got my Link for $1. It was a great deal. I've never used it.
Yeah, Gordon had a pile of them. I probably still have them. I'll send you one.
Steve, I one time when I was a game developer, when I was a developer, I was visiting for a thing. I said, "Oh man, I really love the Steam Link," because I saw a pile of them on a shelf, and they were like, "How many do you want? Just please take some." So, yeah, no, it's like, I don't know. I'm excited about this team making hardware because, like I said, it's the good stuff that I like about Apple hardware and software working together. But they also aren't locking you out of doing the things you actually want to do with the hardware, which is it makes my heart warm in a way that's really good.
Yeah. Well, and then I mean, even in there, I mean, people think of Steam as gaming. They had an example doctored photo or whatever. It looks like just some dude on a desk, a normal desk, with the Steam machine there, and then two large monitors. One of them had coding on it. The other one was, like
that was real. They had that set up.
Oh, they did.
I saw it with my own eyes.
So I mean, like, what can we expect like from actually using this as a workstation? Like, how much did they?
Well, it's KDE Plasma on an immutable immutable Arch install, right? So probably pretty normal. Like, run Bazite, you get the same basic thing.
Yeah. Well, but I feel like that's less of a one-to-one, because like if Like if you're trying to go against consoles, then it's like, oh, we have an easy experience for you. But if then you're trying to be like, oh, hey, if you don't like Windows 11, here we go, we got a machine for you.
Well, did you say? I need to make sure I am pronouncing it right. Did you say Bazite?
I said Bazite.
Is that the correct way? I don't actually know.
I've never heard anybody
I've
say
always heard Bazite
out loud that would know.
Well, now I'm.
Wait, you think
did
it
you
was
say Bazite?
Because we're working. Yeah, because
Bazit?
we're working on. We're gonna have a video with benchmarks soon, and now
boy.
I'm afraid to say the name of the operating system.
I think this is
So
Bazite.
you've created a
Bazite.
real problem.
This is
for
the
me.
eternal problem. Somebody in chat will, I'm sure, have notes. We'll get all sorts of messages on Blue Sky or
Yes,
Twitter
please
or
send us
whatever.
the international phonetic version.
Just do it really wrong and just say Bazit.
I'm not a person. Just generally speaking, I'm not a person you should go to for pronouncing words that I've never heard.
He's good at words.
Asus once sent people to the office to tell us how to pronounce Asus.
It's Pegasus. Asus.
See, they've changed it.
That's what they told me.
Yeah.
I don't know if I told you that they told me it's pronounced like the. So they said it's pronounced like the mythological horse, and I was like,
Asus.
Asus, Pegasus.
Asus.
They said no, Asus.
So-
okay. That's
Oh no,
fine.
that's
So-
yeah. Okay, that doesn't.
So they literally, after I think Acer kind of started coming up and there was that kind of blow up there, they sent somebody around and they were like, you say it, because it was after we started the Maximum PC podcast 100 years ago, and they were like, no, it's Asus. And now they've changed it.
Asus?
Yeah, because they didn't want it to sound like Acer it was our speculation at the time.
Asus. We should just
Asus.
start calling it that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, but I think they've changed it since then because they've had other,
Or there's no right way.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah, also.
My dad still calls it. I don't even know how to.
Asus?
No. NVIDIA. He says.
Oh,
NVIDIA.
NVIDIA. Yeah. Like
It's
every
like
time
the
I talk to
lotion.
my dad,
It's
he
like
says
Nivea.
NVIDIA.
You gotta get that. You gotta
and
get
I'm like,
lubricated.
Dad, it's NVIDIA. Whatever. It's fine.
Did you? So the VR headset. Did you try the streaming from the PC with that, or were you running locally, Steve?
It was streaming. Yeah, it was streaming because that was the thing we were checking. So we looked at the foveated streaming briefly, and they had a developer mode enabled. So it was kind of cool, like as a dev mode thing, but it would light up the box of basically the highest sort of quality density, I guess I'll call it. You know, so you could see on screen where the gradient starts for the reduction in quality.
And this was in what it's doing is taking the video stream and it's giving you more pixels in the place where you're actually looking because it's eye tracking inside.
Yeah, it's doing eye tracking. So it does the eye tracking at the range is 8 to 12 millisecond intervals. So I guess roughly 100 hertz plus or minus. Yeah. And they claim, obviously I haven't had enough time to check this, but they claim that with foveated rendering, which is the same concept except rendering, at that interval people cannot pick up on the fact that it's changing, meaning you're not able to move your eyes to look at a new spot faster than you can register, a lower quality at the periphery. And so their claim is that it's the same as that. And I guess so if you used foveated rendering through some kind of VR previously, then it should be about the same experience. I think there were 250 megabit per second streaming target. We have that written down.
That's what they said on the tested video with Norm. Yeah.
Is it? Okay. Yeah.
So are they doing both foveated streaming and rendering? Is the streaming are they saving data on the stream and the
video
render?
that they send? That basically there's a signal. The eye tracker sends video back to the encoder, and then it sends more bits, more higher bit rate on the section that you're looking at for each frame, because the computer can operate that quickly. So it's kind of weird to think about.
Yeah. So it's still rendering everything, but the streaming is focusing only on where you're looking.
Yeah. Yeah.
Huh.
That's a good question.
Do you think they could piggyback off of the other one?
The VR stuff does foveated rendering, but that requires API support from the developers to work. My understanding is that they're working to get that on legacy hardware, legacy software that supports foveated rendering on other platforms. Well, that was a question. No, if you care about the VR stuff, you should go watch Norm's video because it was really good.
Yeah, and maybe we can have him on or something.
He wasn't available today, unfortunately.
Yeah. But do you think this is a turning point for VR? Do you think this is just Valve being like, it's continuing to chug along, we'll put something out? But Valve doesn't seem like to be a company that would just be like, yeah, we'll just put something out, and if people buy it, sure. If they don't, sure.
Turning Point's kind of like hard for me to commit to. It's a lot better. I mean,
like, why do they need to do this? I guess that's the question I have.
Yeah, that's
like, there's other headsets out there.
Well, there's not anymore though. Is the thing really? I mean,
Well,
there's
they still
niche
sell
stuff,
yeah.
but like the big screen VR is like $2,000 or something.
Well,
ridiculous.
and Meta still is the.
But Meta's not
the
really
sale
for
leader.
PC for the PC.
You can plug it in, use Steam Link.
You can, yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I think. I mean, I'm sure it'll do fine. I'm not sure if it'll be like a turning point or not. I remember talking with someone in the industry years and years ago when Half-Life Alyx came out, and he was absolutely convinced this is it. Like, this is the moment. Everybody's going to have VR.
I still need to play that.
They'll use their monitors in VR. That they won't need monitors. And I was like, no way, man. It's not gonna. This isn't it. It's not gonna work.
Look,
and, yeah.
I mean, I used to wear the headset for 4 or more hours a day, and it was in the old dark days of the 3-pound Vive headset or whatever it was. But it's not great to have something jammed on your face for that length of time. I don't know what 160 grams feels like off the top of my head or whatever it is that the front of that thing weighs, but I'm interested in trying it.
185.
What is the Apple device?
It's way more than 185 because it has glass.
Oh yeah, but and they're not trying to position this against the Apple headset.
In the Norm interview, they explicitly said we don't really care. We're not talking about mixed reality. They don't even have. I think their SLAM cameras, the ones that do the positional tracking, are all monochrome. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So this is still a gaming device.
Right.
Yeah.
Not a productivity device.
Well, I mean, they said you can put your desktop up on it.
Yeah. Well, but Apple positions theirs as a productivity that can also play games.
Yeah.
Where this is gaming that can also
This is a console
compute.
for your face.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. They do have a PCIe Gen 4 connector, customized connector at the front where the nose bridge is, basically. So the plan is to have, either through third parties or through Valve, a full color camera option that you can connect there, but then natively, they're monochrome cameras.
For some
reason
can you link this up? Like if you wanted it to be wired for some reason?
Oh yeah, you can. Yeah.
Well, no, they said there wasn't a wired. They said it wasn't piped for wire. The power brick was just USB power.
Wow.
So their direct connection is that USB dongle to the 250 megabit connection. Maybe the Norm video is wrong. Or the tested video is wrong also.
Yeah. Interesting.
I'd have to look back at our notes.
But the interesting thing to me is that dongle. Okay.
I have this. Let me make sure this is about the frame. Yeah. So we have I don't know if I put this in the video or not. We have a quote from Valve. So we asked them about wired, and Valve said, quote, "The Type-C port can be used for power and any USB 2 devices. In our internal development work, we have plugged in Ethernet adapters for wired network connections."
Oh.
But I guess that's maybe a...
So wired network connection. So that's still going across the network, not a direct over USB.
Right.
It's the interesting thing to me was that it's 250 megabit. So that means it lives under USB 2. Because their dongle, their wireless 6 gigahertz wireless dongle was USB 2. They also said if you have good Wi-Fi 6E or 7 with the 6 gigahertz band, you can just use your whole house. They said they were walking around their offices with them on, which is shocking to me.
Steve, I want to get to the controller because I love controllers.
Okay.
Are you a controller person?
Dude, when I've done when I used to do game interviews and stuff at PAX, if they put me in front of a game and I had a controller, I was like, my anxiety shot up because like all these developers are gonna look at me, look like I have absolutely no idea how to play video games.
Well, I've seen in your comment section you're not a gamer, right? Yeah.
I play games, but you can't really play RTS with a controller.
Well, okay, so you sound like you're coming maybe from more Gordon's angle of controllers for plebes, and you have an allergic reaction to it. Okay, I get. Well, did you touch the controller?
Yes, I did use it, and I don't have a problem with controllers. I'm just not, I'm not particularly adept these days.
Well, the first question we had, because it does look like a nice controller. It actually does look like some of the prototypes and leaks, that have come out.
Where those pads are looks really uncomfortable.
Yeah, like why include the pads? I guess that was my first question. Like, you're taking up a lot of real estate. You're kind of pushing the buttons up, which happens on the Steam Deck as well. I actually don't think the Steam Deck is the most ergonomic for my hands, because they're having to push the controls up a little bit to make room for the pads.
Yeah, it's valid.
Like, why include those pads? Did they say, oh, it's just more for navigation, or did they really feel like people are going to use that?
I think, this is my interpretation, I guess, of the conversations, but my read on it is, with the Steam Machine launch, it maybe makes sure that they can also ship a controller that can somewhat reasonably navigate the operating system, and not have to switch between devices to do it. That was kind of my read, because they are going to have a Steam Machine with controller bundle as well, and it would be, the touchpads would be better for that. I guess you technically only really need one to navigate. And they did too.
But then that would be weird. Yeah, what else can you? Might as well.
But I think that's my best answer for it. They did do a demo where I think it was called Bellatro, the
card
poker
game.
He was, dude. He was like, all right, you should do the controller demo. And I said, I'm not very good at controllers, but okay. And then he said, and we're going to put a poker game on the screen, and I do not know how to play poker. So
it's okay. This one isn't really poker.
Yeah, perfect combination. But the demo still worked, which was pick up the card and move the card around. And so you do that with the touch pads, and there would be like an additional animation. It was almost like a haptic response animation, I guess, when the card would kind of hit the edge of your movement on the on the pad stroke.
Yeah.
So
did it feel like the Steam Deck? Like in terms of not only the button size and the feel, but also the trackpad size. Did you get the haptic vibration?
It feels like the Steam Deck. It's just everything's closer together because there's no screen, But yeah, their intent with the controller was that games that already have Steam Deck specific control schema can just auto map to the controller.
Does the box come with a controller, or do you buy that separately, or they did?
There's an option with the controller. Okay. Yeah. There was one interesting thing we didn't talk about. I don't know how interesting it is, but the micro SD card slot on the Steam Machine, they were saying that you should be able to pull your micro SD card from your Steam Deck and plug it into your Steam Machine, and it should be fairly seamless to transplant games and things.
Oh, that'd be cool. That's fun. Yeah. I mean, I have seen some testing where there is some limitation of running games off of the micro SD card,
for sure,
like compared to the internal, but I guess it depends on your use case, but because that would be really convenient.
I will say, on the launch Steam Deck I bought the small SSD version and put an SD card in, and for most stuff it was pretty I didn't distinguish a difference between whether it was on the SSD or the SD card.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that's kind of neat, just because Windows is much less friendly with that kind of stuff. So.
Well,
yeah.
Willis has got a question.
Hey,
what's up?
So Steve and Sean, you guys saw the Steam Machine, and
Sean's not here anymore.
Yeah. So the Steam Machine is the size of a tissue box. Is that what you guys said?
Yep.
So
roughly,
Will, catch?
I mean, I guess if you want to get pedantic,
so
it's
by scale like that, like this size.
Yeah, there you go.
It's bigger than this.
It's the big kind of tissue box. This is the square kind. It's the rectangle.
I was
kind,
like,
right?
this looks
Well, because they said 6-inch a cube.
Adam is measuring now for audio listeners.
Yeah, so this is
it's like 4 by 4.
This is 4.5 by 5.
Ooh, budget cuts, huh?
Yeah, 4.5.
Look,
man, Hey, well, it's actually Kleenex brand though.
Look,
we got brand name Kleenex.
Thanks
here.
to the current macro, we had to switch from Puffs Plus to Puffs Minus at home.
What?
It's hard to say Puffs. It turns out. Who knew?
Oh, that's a bummer. I like the aloe ones. Yeah. It's not aloe. So
I mean, if it's that size of a Steam Machine, it's yeah.
Mine just have little pieces of broken glass in them now. It's a little bit of a downgrade.
Okay. Did they say anything about pricing of the controller?
No, I'm not sure. I didn't actually ask specifically about price for the controller, though, to be fair. So
okay, is this going to be better than that horrible, hoary Steam controller.
The original one?
No, the Hori came out with
the Hori one.
Yeah, like man, I got that in. That was a bad controller.
I never used that. Yeah.
Dude, well, save the time. That was a bad controller.
I know. I mean, they're like memory holding the controller though, right? Because they gave it the same name as the original Steam controllers. It's just like they're just like trying to overwrite it.
Yeah, well, same thing for the Steam machine too. Like I wonder if they just think, you know what? Well, because now I'm wondering, are we gonna have to designate years? Steam machine 2026.
Fortunately, with the Steam machine, like nothing really shipped, you know. But
hey, I've got one right here. What are you talking about, Steve? It's right here.
Well, you're one of those privileged
Yeah.
reviewers.
Look, the controller.
I still have the controller. Actually, you know what? They did send me the controller.
I have a controller.
Yeah, the controller's the one I'm worried about because I mean, I don't know. It's been long enough that maybe it's irrelevant. You know, maybe.
I mean, here's the thing. They watching their iteration, their process going from those Steam, because they announced the Vive and the Steam machines at the same time, right? And watching the hardware partnership with the HTC and the Steam machines just tank, and the controller kind of tank. Although if you go to the Steam controller subreddit, there is a dedicated, surprisingly large community of people who really like that thing because it's comfortable for their hands.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is the horror.
I guess I have the Steam controller at home in my prized collection box. Yeah, this is the Hori one. This one's bad. You know,
the original Steam controller's got that really weird, like almost arc to it, right?
It's the dome of they've got the domes that ended up shipping on the HTC Vive controllers, the ones, the first gen ones.
You know, there was a point during the pandemic where I tried to learn to love the Steam controller, and the community was very
Dark
much
times for all of us.
Yeah, exactly. It very much was like the Linux community where people had like, oh no, you should try configuring it this way, or there's different kind of things, and people were genuinely like it felt like there was a passionate community of people who loved it for their use case. I didn't stick with it.
One of the environment artists on one of the games I worked on was an absolute monster with that thing, and she could like flick, she could do thumb flicks on the big circle pads and turn faster, and like it was like playing with somebody who has gyro controls when you're all using a thumbstick.
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah, I like that you could change it to be either acceleration, like mouse acceleration, where you can like flick it and the mouse continues to accelerate, or 1-to-1 kind of pointer, things like that. It was good.
I guess my point was looking at then what happened with the Steam Deck and how good that has been consistently, and how that adoption of that thing has also forced people to learn how to build their profiles for their games so that the default controls are good and tuned for your game. It has been overall, like, I don't think it's as impactful as like Microsoft standardizing on X input in 2010, but it's up there in that same kind of range, the same kind of category. So,
for sure.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I agree. They've kind of carved out first round of hardware didn't go over that well, with the original controller and the Link and everything. But I don't know. It seems like with the deck, I would say they've earned at least some level of maybe trust in their ability to execute. So
and like that ARM stuff is exciting. Like that opens the door for a whole world of low price boxes that'll.
And they had native compilations of, I think it was like DXVK and VKD3D for it. So
so is this secretly going to be a turning point for ARM gaming?
It might.
It is a Qualcomm chip, right?
Yeah, it is Qualcomm.
Yeah,
it's 8650. Yeah, 8650.
So yeah, maybe Qualcomm's like, oh please hurry and fix gaming on ARM. Yeah. Because then, some of that could translate back to Windows.
This is right. This ends with Microsoft buying Valve, or maybe Valve buying Microsoft. No. I don't know which way it's going to go. It'll one way the games. Just to be clear, I'm not talking about Valve buying Azure and the whole bunch of Microsoft. But if
why would you even bring this up?
If Microsoft,
this is a horrible.
If Microsoft
we don't
wants
want
to dump somebody off, Microsoft's going to sell off that games division at some point. Somebody's going to have to buy it. Who has the money to buy Microsoft's games division? Yeah.
Sony.
Yeah.
Sony
Nintendo.
Nintendo maybe does.
Yeah.
NVIDIA. Government. Yeah, NVIDIA does. Yeah.
Yeah. So did they have any AMD people there to talk about their partnership? And nope, nothing.
No, they didn't do the usual AMD circle of self-congratulatory suits. So.
Okay. Yeah. And no. So yeah, because I was partially wondering, who would they I guess it makes sense they're continuing to partner with AMD because of the Steam Deck kind of stuff. But, on the ARM side, it's obviously Qualcomm. So yeah, they are expanding
who knows
out
with the
there.
RTX chiplets, when Intel and Nvidia do that, then maybe that changes stuff on the handheld side.
Right. Well, and also, so the embargo for the Framework Laptop 16 with the RTX 5070 laptop part, the embargo lifted this morning. I actually shot a video last week, but I ran into some issues, so I got to do some further testing. That video probably go up hopefully tomorrow or Friday. But like this is one of those times. I mean, I miss Gordon dearly, and there's plenty of times where I'm like, man, I wish he was here to see it. But like this, I think he would have gotten really hyped about having this expandable or this replaceable NVIDIA module, because the tides for that kind of stuff has slowly been turning away. I've heard from other vendors that NVIDIA has essentially tried to kill XMX.
MXM.
And so, like, to have them to be able to partner with Framework, which is not I mean, they're big. People who know who they are, but they're not volume big like a Dell or an HP kind of thing.
They're
so
mindshare big.
To be able to work with NVIDIA and get this it's not custom solution, but you know what I mean, like a expandable option feels different. Feels like something that should be celebrated, and I wonder if it signals like, hey, is NVIDIA trying to maybe get some wins in other places? Could they have tried to get in the next consoles or in something like this? But
I don't think NVIDIA has need to enter new markets right now.
Yeah.
I think they're doing okay.
Why not, Will?
Weird.
Why?
I think
Are they busy?
I think they got other priorities right now. Yeah.
Well, but that's what I thought with the whole working with Framework. Like they didn't need to work with Framework on this thing.
Right.
Like yeah. So it just
look, why buy GPUs that they can sell for $150 to Valve when they can make GPUs that they sell for $150,000 to the Department of Defense?
Yeah, or
it's easy math.
Or to Framework.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, it did get me thinking about other partnerships. Like, is Valve going to continue to be, not beholden, but sticking with AMD? Could in the future they partner?
Well, I think the big thing with AMD and Valve is just the driver, right, on Linux. The driver for SteamOS. They can do a lot of maintenance on that. So I think they maybe have some hesitation of NVIDIA for driver reasons, maybe more than anything else.
Or Intel, right? This could have been a could have had a B6 850
Arc
in there or
drivers
something.
though, our experience so far with Arc in Bazite or Bazite is Arc has
Don't throw them off.
That's why.
Bazite.
They have the worst.
Bezite. Beziti.
It's getting worse. I'm gonna have to have like a whole list
Baked
of.
tzatziki.
I'm gonna change how I say it every time.
Yeah, baked
time.
ziti is the one. That's the right way to do it.
That's the one.
Like 10 different takes.
Just do 12 different versions, and then you're like, I got it right once. It's in there right.
Just called that.
Yeah, I think
Sorry, Steve.
Arc was the least overall compatible from what we saw
For
in
Linux?
terms of issues with games.
Really?
So,
Wow.
Yeah, that makes
Okay.
sense.
crashes and stuff.
The other thing is there's something you can't overstate how nice it is to be the big client for the small company versus being the small client for the huge company.
That's true.
Like, I'd much rather be working with the underdog here, and be the thing that's important to them. And also, honestly, these machines for Valve are like, it's continuing the path of the Xbox and the PlayStation of building these semi-custom processors that are specialized for gaming. And
it does seem like there's an opening, both with Microsoft's recent and continual struggle with the Xbox and also Windows. I mean, Windows it's not going anywhere right now, but there's definitely I think a lot of enthusiasts, at least, are frustrated with Windows to where they may be more willing to experiment with SteamOS.
We're hearing that.
Yeah, and then
Yeah,
on the
Dual Boot
Xbox
Diaries.
side-
You should be on. Talk about your Linux testing in the future, which I do want to catch up. Like for this specifically, and I know you probably haven't had time to think about it, but maybe you have. Would you load up Windows on this to do comparable 1-to-1?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that should be easy. The place I hesitate with like 1-to-1. So in our upcoming Linux benchmarks we have for GPU, we're trying to really focus on just like, here's how the cards compare to each other in Linux, not how does it compare to Windows.
Oh, really?
Mostly
Why
just
so?
'cause it gets kind of complicated where if you're starting to compare things like do you use the native Linux version of the game if it has it, or do you use the Windows version of the game adapted? And if you're starting to change which API you're running or which version of the game you're running, it might not even be rendering the same thing anymore, and it's kind of hard to
Like
exactly
if one's
know.
Vulkan, one's DX12.
Yeah, and so I don't really like doing cross comparisons like that. We'll talk about it. To me, it's easier to do okay, how's the relative comparison card to card by percentage? You kind of do that cross operating system, but as soon as you're starting to compare like absolute performance, I just worry that there's too many variables where it may not be fully representative. But
It makes sense.
generally speaking, in some of the games, I mean, not overall, but there were a couple games we ran into where AMD was like better than NVIDIA to a point where NVIDIA was just like basically broken in some of the distribution, or APIs for the games. I want to say Baldur's Gate 3 was one of them where running with, I don't remember if it was running with Vulkan or whatever. There was something that fixed it, but point being, you could run in a mode where it was just an unbelievably bad experience, and so it gets kind of messy to cross compare.
It's well, and there's also differences. Like I was trying to do some frame time stuff across platforms, and it's like you can get frame time numbers from like Mango HUD and Linux and some other tools, but it's difficult to know which frame time you're getting because like Windows Intel's tool reports 3 different frame times, and one is the frame buffer time, one is the out to display time, and the other one is like it's the one I think that's the one that includes the proc gen frames or the frame gen frames. But yeah, so anyway, it's
tap. Hey,
complicated.
what is this number?
That's the answer.
No, that's a good point though. The tools are different as well. So yeah, that's a very good point where you potentially end up measuring 2 different things.
Yeah. So yeah, how would you test this Steam machine kind of thing? Would you grab another mini PC? Would you grab it against a custom built machine versus a console?
We'll probably do. A lot of our testing is going to be on thermal, acoustic, and flow. But for games, that's a good question. It's like with the handhelds, those we do cross compare SteamOS to the Windows handhelds, and so like there is a way to do it. I guess we would follow that roadmap where what we'd do is pick one set of if a game has 2 or 3 options for how it launches in Linux, we would just pick kind of the most universally the same one between the devices.
I mean, there's an argument that if you load up the game and hit play on like Dead Cells, which has a Linux version,
right,
most people are gonna play the version that just hits play without having to go in and choose any options.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
I think that's how Gordon would have looked at it too.
I feel like this is a place where the defaults really matter.
Yeah. Well, doing the default option is always the best sort of. If you're just really not sure because you feel like you could make an argument for either, default is kind of always the safe play because like, look, I mean, at this point, I'm just testing it how 90% of people will use it.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I guess I want this to be successful, not for Valve, whatever, they got plenty of money, but I do think this will push Linux forward. Talking about the Steam machine specifically, it'll, especially not only bringing it to this box, but if they really do follow through to say, hey, SteamOS is going to be something that they could theoretically release and you load it up on any machine, I think that opens up a lot of floodgates there. But I mean, Bazite, Baked ZD, whatever you want to call it, is a good in between if you are looking for that and you don't want to wait around.
Did they talk about shader compilation at all, Steve, while you were there?
No, that is a good question though. Yeah.
I wonder.
It's probably got to be similar to the Steam Deck.
Well, for their hardware, I wonder if they're. I'm really curious if they're tackling the larger problem that faces every single person that plays games on any OS, which is, hey, I love shader compiling. It's my favorite thing to do. I love that Steam does it every time I launch a Linux game now. That's great.
Also, I've been playing Outer Worlds 2, and every single time I launch it, it has a shader compile.
Yep.
The first one was like long, but every other time.
Intel, you guys talked about
we talked to Intel,
but they didn't show it. Yeah.
Okay, because they weren't they talking about like
their driver
pre-compiling and then pulling it through the internet instead or something.
Yeah, which seems like a pretty good solution for like 90%
through their interface to Intel software, whatever they call it. Yeah.
Right.
Which but they're only going to test against their Intel hardware. So
yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Anything else we missed?
Yeah,
Steve,
or release date. Did they talk? They gave a hint of 2026, but we talking early, late, all at the same time.
Frame's early 2026.
Early.
So that's the VR headset early.
Oh, okay.
And then that was the only one we got. I think it's all 2026. So I think the Frame was the only one we got specificity on a range.
Huh? Does Valve ever go to CES? Could they show this off?
They brought the Vive to CES. Did they? No. They've been to CES. I know I had meetings with Chet back when Chet was still there at CES a couple of times, but my guess is that this lives outside of trade shows for them.
Yeah.
Like they don't need trade show. They have a front page that a couple of 100 million people hit every day. That's where they'll put the information about this.
Good question from a friend of the show, PS1 Freak. Is the Steam machine an Xbox?
Oh, wow.
It is not.
Yeah, it is. What are you talking about? This is an Xbox.
No.
This is an Xbox.
Oh, that's right.
This is an Xbox.
Right.
Steve, come on, get with the program. It's all an Xbox.
I don't have a smart fridge yet, so I haven't gotten used to that being an Xbox.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, everything's an Xbox. What are you talking about?
Oh, you're right.
Steve,
yeah, what do you need an Xbox for?
Get with the messaging. Pay attention.
I didn't think that through.
Yeah, anything else you wanna talk about? Or
yeah, I mean, you got it all. It's I think the VR stuff I'll message you as soon as there's hardware to talk about, because I am curious what you'll think about it just with your experience.
Just be careful. He's damaged.
Look,
he's hurt.
Here's the thing. I saw the video and I was like, oh, I'm gonna drag my PC out in the backyard because I live in Northern California. I have 1,000 square foot house. I don't have room for as soon as I stopped working in VR, the space that I used to use to test VR software immediately got filled with crap. Right. And I rotated my desk so I had a wall behind me instead of a big pile of crap. And but if I can take the inside out slam tracking out in the backyard and not have I'm not ever going to buy a Quest because I don't want to engage with Facebook at all at this point. Right.
Right.
It's just, that's a personal choice on my front for a whole multitude of reasons, some of which are public and some I'm never going to talk about. But the, dragging out my gaming PC in the backyard and wirelessly connecting to the VR in the backyard, that sounds pretty good.
You're gonna have the most amazing tan.
Yeah.
I was thinking the neighbors. The neighbors are just gonna go out on the back porch
Steve,
drinking their coffee, and they're like,
Steve,
Will's at it again.
This is nighttime activity. This isn't daytime stuff. Are you kidding? You can't do VR in the day. That you blow out the.
It does have IR. You can.
Yeah.
You can track
get in the dark.
Yeah.
Look, I played.
Honey, our neighbor's out in the backyard again.
The multiplayer. I played the multiplayer version of Space Pirate Trainer that they released a couple of years ago in a park one time with a bunch of people, and it was freaking incredible.
That's
but
awesome.
also I was afraid I was going to run into a tree at any given moment, and B, that we would get shot by somebody because we were all running around not able to see anything going on around us, like complete a-holes. And anyway, yeah, whatever. VR's weird.
Yeah.
I still love VR, but also it hurts me.
Yeah. Well, we have a comment that came in that I want to cover real quick before you pop out, Steve. A friend of the show, Peter Jansen, said, Steve, if you read this, great work with right to repair and consumer advocacy. How do you? That's the end of their quote. My question now is, how do you feel Valve is doing in both of those arenas?
I think on the right to repair stuff, it seems like they are definitely aware of trying to make things openable and repairable. So that's nice. And then working with iFixit or otherwise to sell spare components is pretty great. So that's nice to see. The consumer advocacy stuff is maybe a little murkier in some areas. I don't know. It depends how much you want to get into sort of Steam and the gambling, gambling gaming spectrum of things, but maybe if you start weighing that stuff a little more heavily, not necessarily great. But I guess it comes down to where do you draw the line for that, and then everyone's kind of in there too, like Epic Games. So
do you feel like, I mean, one of the things that I'm seeing with this is we're kind of centralizing a lot of video game infrastructure around Valve now, right? Like if we're seeing, Steam has always been an oversized component of the PC game space, but it seems like it's just going to get bigger and bigger, especially if they're coming into the hardware space with low margin parts that they sell at an incredibly low margin. Like, do you think that's going to destabilize other, like, are we going to see fewer small form, like, is Falcon Northwest going to sell fewer small form factors because you can buy this thing instead? Probably, that's probably a bad example.
LeBron James kid is not going to want the cheap Steam box.
He might.
I know. Or he'll get 2 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure. On the hardware side, I think there's maybe less of a concern, short term at least. On the platform side, I think it is a very valid concern, to look at how sort of monopolized they are. I think the best argument right now is that Valve does not appear to be acting in a way where it's leveraging its position maliciously against competitors. It's just kind of competing, and it doesn't seem to be behaving in an evil way towards its customers. But that can always change. I think that's kind of it's a private company, and that allows them to be better for their consumers, I think, than if they were to go public. But eventually there will be a change of leadership. I guess it becomes a question of, does it
who's
go to
Gabe
the right
the next
person?
generation? Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Like it's nice. Like having a billionaire on your side is great until the billionaire changes, right?
Yeah.
Right, to a worse billionaire. Yeah.
I got a pitch here for you, Steve, because you're doing all this advocacy work, stuff like that. I feel like we need like an ESRB rating, but here we go. It's an SARB, so Steve Advocacy
SARB,
Advocacy Rating Board, where you give a company a rating.
And the board is only me, right?
Yeah.
Well, no. The board is a physical board that you give them that has a picture of your face on it, a thumbs up or a thumbs down.
Yeah. So because it's easy, then it's easy to track. Like a rate, like a ESRB. It's like, hey, T for teen.
Someone
SARB,
SARB, yeah. Someone was asking recently what the like, I guess, most, I don't know, consumer friendly motherboard company was to buy from, and I was just like, I don't have an answer for you. I mean, everyone's got problems. It's just which one's the worst.
That's why, if you have a tier, so it's like, MSI gets a C, Asus gets a D, or I'm sorry,
we probably
Asus
start at
Asus.
C or D.
Yeah.
And we just go down.
Yeah, exactly. So at least hey, none of them are great, but it's a quick way to say, okay, well, there are some that are better than others.
Yeah, they'll be like, look, we got a C+.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
have a party.
Yeah, bam, perfect, sweet.
They'll
put that on the box.
Look, you get a C+, and you get the whole board on your the C-suite.
Hey,
calls you,
C is average.
Hey, Steve, we want to talk. We'd love to chat with you about your Steve SSRB rating, and then you get on the call, and it's the entire C-suite there, and they're like, hey, look. We don't like that C+. We were hoping for a B-.
Well, because I thought, doesn't iFixit actually do some sort of rating?
They do.
Yeah, so I'm saying you got to get on this. A Steve
I'll license it
Advocacy
to you.
Rating Board.
You'll get the licensing fees when we roll it out.
Yeah, perfect. Love it. All right, give me my cut, Steve.
Yeah.
Take you to the Supreme Court.
Is this where you do, speaking of cuts, what's AMD's cut of the market?
Yeah.
That's an incredible segue.
Okay, well, I guess I'm retiring now. Steve is going to be the new host of The Full Nerd.
Heck yeah.
Got him.
Finally.
Do you want to stick around for this? Or
I got to get to checking on the team, but...
Okay, We'll say hi to the team for us. Thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah.
Always good to see you, man.
Always good to see you. I guess CES? No, you don't go to CES.
I might be in the area for other stuff.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah,
well,
we'll see you soon.
Yeah. We'll see. Thank you, sir.
Thanks,
Have
Steve.
a good one.
Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, guys.
Later.
See ya.
Bye.
All right.
Cut to me real quick.
Yes. Steve already did the transition. Wow. Thank you, Steve.
That was incredible.
There you go. I should have said that. Thank you, Steve. Oh man, I could have continued. He's
Thanks,
okay.
Steve.
He cut away.
Thanks, Steve.
Thanks,
right.
Steve, for stopping by. Yeah, we're moving over to AMD market share because there is some.
Is it good or bad?
Good.
Oh,
well,
if you're AMD, I guess. It's
yeah,
good.
exactly.
Your Intel,
money.
so.
More money. If you go down into the description, there's a link to a wonderful article written by one Mark Hochman. He listened into the AMD earnings calls, which happened last Tuesday. I think it was actually maybe during the Full Nerd or something like that. But essentially, this is like earning calls. Have you ever sat in on an earning call?
It used to be a really important part of my job. You sit there for
really?
like 2 hours on a call. There's a bunch of finance guys there, and they're asking questions like, what do you think your CapEx is for February through April of 2026? And then you just kind of zone out for a little while, and then they say one thing about not having forward-looking hardware announcements to make. So
yeah, I've actually, I don't think I've ever sat in on an earnings call, but yeah, usually that's
You've
what
really
it is.
missed out, buddy. Let me tell you.
Oh, yeah, so most of it is not. They're not going to announce hardware. It's more like, oh, we're talking about how well things are doing, mostly for the Wall Street types.
But you do get sales information sometimes. That's
true.
the important thing.
True. Yeah. So Mark has some quotes. The headline says AMD expects record CPU sales to keep growing, meaning it's hitting record CPU sales, and they think it's going to continue. And yeah, so essentially they came out and said
they sold like between 5 and 25 of these things, right?
More than 25.
That's good.
Yeah. So that's good. The company's client business, which makes made up of CPU
computers.
sales, recorded a record 2.8 billion in, I think, is this revenue? I'm not quite sure. Yeah. So Dr. Lisa Su, quote, desktop CPU sales reached an all-time high with record channel sell-in and sell-out, led by robust demand for our Ryzen 9000 processors, which deliver unmatched performance across gaming, productivity, and content creation applications. So sell-in means that's how many they're selling to the retailers. Sell-out. I've never heard sell-out. I usually hear sell-through.
Yeah, usually you don't. Selling out is bad. I'm Gen X, so I like this is the worst thing you can do. I'm not. You look at those Gen Z people, and they're like, "Oh man, I'm selling out left and right."
Yeah. So I think it wasn't in Mark's article, but I feel like I read somewhere say that they have surpassed 50% on the desktop CPU
sales.
In terms of sales,
that's really good.
Not total.
Market share lags for obvious reasons. There's 20-year-old machines in the channel.
I mean, but that's also not. I don't think that's too new. You could go to the Amazon bestseller page of of CPUs, and the whole page is pretty much littered with Ryzen.
But so the thing about these numbers is that these are not just processor. This includes machines as well as box processors, right? So it's not just like this is talking about people who go into Best Buy and buy a computer, are buying a desktop computer, are buying AMD at a 50% rate, which is pretty good.
I guess AMD is saying Ryzen notebooks has increased sharply, end quote, during the last quarter, which is interesting because AMD has talked about how they're not necessarily focusing on it right now, but I mean these Ryzen AI 300s are really good. I mean, I'm running one right now.
It's a nice laptop.
Yeah, so. Yeah, that is good to see, even though they're not, having a big push on it. They did talk a little bit about the GPU business. Any quotes in here? No, not anything super interesting. But
I mean,
I mean, I think the thing is like, man, AMD just seems to continue to eat up that CPU market share in a way that isn't surprising. They have good products, and Intel has had some struggles here and there, but. I really do think in a matter of years we can see a position where on the desktop CPU side AMD just is the dominant leader, the way Intel has been for decades.
I mean,
Isn't that crazy?
I think on the enthusiast space it makes a ton of sense, given like this is where their X3D bet has paid off, right? Putting the
and long-term support for a socket, AM4, AM5.
Yeah, not making people. It turns out people will buy more CPUs if you make it cheaper for them to upgrade their CPU, right? If I had to buy a motherboard every time a new CPU came out, I would upgrade my CPU way less frequently because motherboards, shockingly, have gotten to be as expensive as the CPUs in some cases. So yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. The other thing is that they talked about the Ryzen roadmap. Once again, I have a link down to the article in the description. Mark talked about or covered the roadmap they were talking about. Here's the headline. AMD confirms Zen 7 CPU plans, offers a look at GPU and NPU roadmap. So Zen 7...
wait, are we skipping
codename
6?
Gorgon and Medusa.
I guess we only do odd numbers for AMD. The evens are mobile.
That's a good question. I actually...
Did we have Zen 4?
Yeah, there was definitely Zen 4.
So then where's Zen 6? This is
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Zen 6 is Medusa and Gorgon. Zen 7, they're just saying, hey, Zen 7 is coming.
Will happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
That's not really a surprise.
Yeah, will happen as well. And hey, I mean, Zen continues to get better and better. Let's see they're saying, so Gorgon and Medusa code names, and this is both for desktop and mobile, 2026 and 2027. So obviously we're in the waning months of 2025. I doubt we're going to see any major desktop announcements at this point. Dr. Lisa Su is the main keynote for CES. I'm going to assume we're going to speak of whatever comes on the desktop there.
You think they're going to change the numbering scheme? Because we've reached 9900. Like, is there going to be a 10800?
We're going to need another decoder wheel.
10900?
I was going to say we need another decoder,
Look,
right?
Yeah.
There's still a chance.
A 10950 HX3D.
Look, my dream is that they just go with the Dragon Ball and it's all over. Like the
over
sequel
9,000.
is over 9800 X3D.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. So, there's a link to a roadmap from a briefing, but it's essentially they're talking about Zen 6 and Zen 6C, which Gorgon and Medusa, industry first 2 nanometer. There's only 2 nanometers in this one.
A friend of the show, Diotis, has a decimals for the naming scheme. So the next one is the 1 point, and it's the 80. 1 point. Put some zeros in there, and we'll never have to do this again.
Great. Well, underneath that slide for Zen 6,
10.
There's 2 bullet points.
2 times 10 to the 23rd.
There's 2 bullet points, and both of them include AI. So
great.
New AI data type support and
Fantastic.
more AI pipelines.
You know what? I was just thinking?
What?
Is I needed more ways to get AI into my computer.
Yeah, and then Zen 7 is a future node, the 2 data points, new matrix engine, and AI data format expansion. I didn't sit on the briefing,
so that means it's going to be
so
64-bit, or that's probably bit width thickness of the data. I don't know.
Great.
It's going to be girthier. That's all I know.
Great. So, yeah, and then they did actually talk about the gaming GPU architecture. Obviously, RX 9000 series already out. They've talked about Redstone for the software side, but then the next-gen hardware, which they have no code names, nothing on this slide, says next-gen AI and ray tracing. So more AI and continued focus on ray tracing.
This is my surprised face.
Which, once again, that's why I was confused when we were talking about the Steam Machine stuff, and like that AI stuff was nowhere to be found. We're talking about old processes, and obviously AI is something that's being focused on. So.
I think that Valve maybe is less enthusiastic about AI as a company that really only cares about games.
Well, but when you got all these developers moving to pipelines that are just pure RT based.
Yeah.
Like that's happening more and more.
But that's a positive kind of AI. I think the AI that AMD is talking about here is the kind that the
gamers
are
upscaling.
Enthusiastic about. I realize that upscaling is a good AI good use of AI, right?
So,
FrameGen is arguably good use of AI.
Yeah. So
the other stuff less so.
Anyway, so yeah, AMD.
What do we got?
They're excited, firing on all cylinders.
I mean, look,
except for the messaging stuff last week.
It's nice when the team with the small market share, which AMD still has the small market share, right, has the good hardware and is able to actually capitalize on that. That's good. If they weren't able to capitalize on having the good hardware, then we would be concerned about anti-competitive business or whatever from the from the big guys.
Also, in the chat, friend of the show, Glass Puppo makes a good point. It's November. Where is Redstone coming in 2025? That is a really good point. My guess, if I had to guess at this point, is that that's going to be a CES thing. They're going to say, hey, you know what? We need a little bit more time in the oven. That we're talking about it at CES. Because we're with all the holidays and stuff like that. Like, I can't imagine Redstone would hit in any appreciable way at this point.
This is the thing that Jack Hune talked about, that unifies all of their ray tracing and AI and all that stuff for the FSR4.
Yeah, well, and
for the FSR4 compatible GPUs.
Yeah, and it's been misreported a little bit as titled UDNA. But essentially, this is the future of FSR. This is the sequel to FSR4. They've talked about, is it going to be 4.5? Is it going to be 5? Are we going to call it something different? It wraps up at a lot of stuff. Are we going to get Redstone for Christmas? I don't think so. At this point, I think they'll save it to make a big splash at CES.
Or maybe not, because typically, like the last few CESs, they don't talk about GPU stuff at all. So. We'll see.
Well, but maybe this is where they talk about it instead of GPU hardware.
Maybe.
So they'll talk about CPUs and then talk about GPU stuff in relation to the software side of it. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Anyway, up and to the right is what they're saying. So now let's move over to the third topic. Now it's just me and you.
This is a little early. And I feel like Elena and Brad usually have more to say about this.
Yeah. Hey, Elena, what do you think of
I
AMD's
love the
market share?
1080 Ti. It's great.
Yeah. Brad, how do you feel?
Yeah, I think they're doing pretty good. It seems like you should read the article on PCWorld.com.
Yeah. Good articles on PCWorld.com. Let's talk about the best of 2025. No.
I'm so sorry.
No, this is not the Full Nerds Best of 2025. We will have that. We're talking about scheduling right now. At the end of the year, we always have 2 major episodes. One of them is talking about the Full Nerd Awards, the best of 20 or whatever year we do, where we vote in real time on key categories and come up with our best list.
Wait, I thought we already did that. The 1080 Ti made the list.
No, that was Hall of Fame.
What?
That was the Full Nerds Hall of Fame. We have a best of year. Yeah.
We have 2 levels of
because you talk about the year.
Yeah.
The Hall of Fame is like Hall of all time.
Okay.
And then you do it per year as well. So
okay.
But this is not that. PCWorld.com. All of PC World has put up the best of 2025. I wish Brad were here to explain why it's in mid-November rather than a little bit later, but maybe Brad can say why later.
I feel like there's a whole month and a half left.
Yeah. Well, talk to Brad. I'm not the one doing it. So, there's a link down in the description if you want to see the best of 2025. Every single person on the PC World staff has contributed to this list. Even me, I did contribute to this list in the handheld category.
The best handheld?
I worked with Mike Kreider. I said obviously the Steam Deck is just the de facto, but we made a video talking about if you can get a Legion Go S, a Z2 Go version for around the same price as the Steam Deck OLED, that is the first handheld at that price point that I think it's like a real good toss-up. In the video, we talked about why we think that is and what the trade-offs are. You get a bigger screen, you get a higher refresh rate. I think it has better ergonomics. You get a slightly beefier processor, but not a ton, a little bit. So I think that's the one to look at. And then on the high end, so that's like an everyman kind of pick, but then also the high end, if you want to go best of the best, I put the Legion Go 2, because right now that is still my daily driver, and like that, yes, it's very expensive, but if you're just looking for the best of the best, I can't think of a handheld that beats that.
Did you take a picture of the Legion 2?
That's not mine.
Okay, thank God. I was going to say, you took a picture of the Legion 2 Go playing Sonic. What are you doing, man?
No, that wasn't my photo.
Okay,
sorry. But yeah, we've got categories in here. The best laptop was awarded the Lenovo Yoga 9i 2-in-1 Aura Edition. Ooh, it's got that Aura Edition. The best graphics card, Brad gave to the NVIDIA GeForce RTX 5070 Ti. Huh. Interesting. Okay. I don't know if I would have went with
Your
that. But
feelings?
that's Brad's picks. Yeah.
Okay.
The best laptop for battery life, HP OmniBook 514. Yeah, we don't have to go through all
There's
these.
a bunch of good stuff here.
There's a lot of good stuff.
If you're looking for stuff to buy for people who like computer business.
Yeah. Best password manager, Lena gave to Dashlane.
Wow.
Best SSD, best desktop CPU, Ryzen 9 9950X 3D. Oh. And it was Elena. Yeah, we actually talked about this when Elena was in last week. Because actually there wasn't a ton of desktop CPUs that came out. Anything that stands out here on this list for you, Will?
I'm just flipping through. I like the handheld recommendations. I think I agree with both of those. I saw the best gaming monitor is this MSI 27
MSI
inch.
MPG 272URX. I think that is. Oh, it looks like 4K. Wait,
It's 4K, which is a bold choice. And it's
is it 4K?
Yeah, they said Catherine said it's 4K.
Not contact with the standard. It
it.
goes to 4K at 240 hertz. Is it OLED? I don't think it's OLED.
That price, it better be OLED.
Yeah, it better be OLED.
Yeah.
I mean that's high end. That's like $1,000.
Yeah, that look, 4K OLED monitor, pretty banger. I wish there was a budget gaming monitor category here because there's a bunch of really good deals in this sub like $450 range now for IPS 4K and 1440p.
Well, so spoilers.
You get a really decent 1440p OLED for like $600 on if you hit it right.
Yeah. Spoilers, we do have a lot of like best of hubs, but this isn't just taking the top pick from that best of hub
This is
and
new
making it well, I think some of these do probably chart, close with our best of hub, but like this was a push to say, hey, think about what this list would be, compile your thoughts around all the stuff that PC World covers. It's not just desktop stuff that we do over on the website. So I thought it was interesting. Yeah. Go check it out. I unfortunately Elena and Brad are not here, so whoops. Yeah, let's go check it out.
Good talk.
Anyway, let's get to some cues.
Yeah, we can do cues a day.
Let's get some questions.
Just the two of us.
If it's if you got a question right now and you're watching live, get them in the chat. But if you're watching this or listen to this later, which you probably are, because statistically more people are.
It's like an iceberg, right? Like one small percentage poking out in the live chat.
Yeah.
Large percentage under the sea.
Yeah.
Ready to, crush ships.
Exactly. So go down in the description, hit the link for the Full Nerd Discord. I promise this link should work now. There is a channel over there called TFN Questions. You can put a question in there at any day, anytime. People make threads and have discussions in there, but I'm gonna bring up some. I'm gonna bring up some here on this show. Some of these, oh man, I should have brought. Some of these were actually around the Steam machine, so I'm going backwards in time a little bit. We have a really good question from Cause MC says, oh no, I'm sorry, Ivan R, friend of the show, Ivan R says, so 8 gigs of VRAM is enough for gaming. I was going to bring this up with Steve, and I forgot. So is it?
Is it?
I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
Well, the Steam machine has 8 gigs of VRAM, GDDR6 VRAM, with that with that GPU.
Doesn't seem like enough.
Steam says 8 gigs is good enough, right?
I feel like the internet has
good enough
made
for 4K gaming.
The internet has made it very clear
This
to me
thing
that if I
can
want
do
to play
4K
games
gaming.
at 4K, I need at least 32 gigs of RAM on a $2,000 video card. There's no other way to play games at 4K.
Yeah.
That's my understanding.
So interesting.
We'll when this thing comes out, we're going to benchmark it and we'll find out.
Also, once again, I really do think the way to think of this, and I don't think Valve is like coming out and trying to mislead this. This is not a native 4K machine. The consoles are not, for the most part, native 4K machines either.
No.
Most games rely on some sort of upscaling. So I think the performance level, you're talking about solid 1080p, good to solid 1440p gaming, obviously with the use of upscaling to get to 4K. Is 8 gigs of VRAM on this GPU going to be enough? I don't know, but
they could also be doing something screwy by sharing system RAM with the like using it as a cache. Like there's all sorts when you're talking about semi custom GPUs and semi custom hardware, they can do weird stuff.
Also, I do have an eGPU that's the 7600 XT, 7600M XT designated for mobile as an eGPU. We can do some of this testing already, so I'm curious. I'm curious, but a good question.
FYI, there was some conversation in the chat about
Yes.
whether that MSI monitor was an OLED for $1,099.
Okay.
It is. I went and looked.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Great. We have I don't recognize this person. So
Ooh, new people.
Ghostly Pie asks a question: is Valve eating Xbox's console lunch right now with the new Steam Machine frame and gamepad? Microsoft has been pushing software hard, as discussed recently, while it looks like Valve was pushing hard on hardware. Good point. I mean, these are all things that Microsoft has been interested in.
Anecdotally, as a consumer of video games and a person who spends money on this stuff, it feels like Valve is speaking to me personally in a lot of ways, in a way that Microsoft hasn't spoken to me personally since Jay Allard last took off his T-shirt and business jacket.
Yeah. Sport coat.
Yeah.
Well, but the thing is, and we've talked about this again, we're on the handheld side. I as much as I love the Steam Deck and all these other Windows-based handheld gaming systems, it pales in comparison to what the Switch is doing.
Well, yeah.
So my guess is it going to be, even as successful as this Steam machine is going to be, it's probably not going to sell as well as an Xbox.
Well, I mean, it depends on price. Right. If this thing comes out at $500, they're going to sell the hell. It's not going to.
I really don't think so.
But the power that they have is that they can order in bulk. Like, the question I have is, are they going to sell more Steam machines than they have Steam Decks? Like, is the Steam Deck the small market or the big market? And we're not going to know until after they come out and they talk about numbers a year and a half after it launches, or maybe on day one if it does really well. Right. Like my assumption is, if we don't see a comment from them about how well the pre-sales go the day they announce the pre-sales, probably smaller. If they do, probably bigger. And those two outcomes are pretty wildly different.
Yeah. I'm curious.
I mean, the thing that they can do, and I'm going to say this again, it's what they did for the Index, it's what they did for the Steam Deck, it's what they didn't do for the Steam machines and for the original Steam controller. I mean, I guess they did it for the original Steam controller and the Steam Link, but they didn't do it for the original Steam machines. Is they can say, okay, we are the most profitable company per employee in the world, per Sean. What we're going to do is use some of our war chests, and we're going to just we're going to pay for 1 million of these to get the 1 million discount, right? The 1 million buy discount. And then if it takes them 6 months to sell them, or a year or 2 years or whatever to sell them, it's not the end. It won't destroy them like it would almost every other kind of, non-public indie hardware developer in the world. And that's how they make this a low margin product and still work out.
Well, a friend of the show, CosMC, also asked, let's say the Steam machine hits $800 to $1,100 price range. Okay. So let's say it's
$800 to $1,100 US.
Yeah, US. Okay. How long does it need to maintain good FPS with new releases? Or does this get saved with Steam Link? Play your harder games on your gaming PC downstairs.
No, I think that if you look at this I think, so the question I asked Steve, I have an answer for, which was, who is this for? And my thought is that they have a lot of new customers who have Steam Decks only, and this is a way for them to turn those people into couch and or monitor gamers. Now, what? You're making a face?
I'm trying to think of what I would assume the market share or the breakdown of people who own Steam Decks that also own a gaming computer. I bet is higher than people who don't.
I bet they know exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, so this is why I asked that question. Is I think like the reason.
I mean, if you're selling just to the market that only has a Steam Deck and not a gaming computer, no matter what, it's a fraction of what the Steam Deck is. Yeah. That's not a huge market.
My assumption is that this device is spec'd out this way because it will be able to run games that run on the Steam Deck now well at 4K 60 pretty reliably, right? And that's what they care about. They're looking at Steam Deck as minimum spec, and how does that scale up to? How could they get those games to run at 4K? So this isn't gonna, like I said, it's not gonna run Cybertruck with Cybertruck.
Put on your Cybertrunks.
Cyberpunk.
Put on your Cybertrunks.
Racing at 4K 60. This is gonna run Cyberpunk at Steam Deck Potato mode at 4K 60, which still looks pretty good. but it's not the same as running on a 5070 Ti or a anything more current.
Yeah, I mean we're talking about like a low end discrete GPU. On this thing. Also, they did give a number. What was that number of like? Oh, this is 4 times more powerful than something.
It was more than that. They gave it a Steam Deck number.
Is that what it was? Like
Steam
over
Deck
the Steam Deck?
Yeah, it's
which is interesting.
Yeah, like this is making PC games easy for people who don't have a way to play PC games right now, I think.
Okay, I can't find that quote, but yeah, it was some sort of
6 times more powerful than the Steam Deck is what friend of the show Vignesh.
Oh, okay, thank you. Yeah, because which I mean, we're talking about like we already have handhelds out there right now, like the Z2 Extreme. Like I would put on like double, if not quadruple, the power versus the Steam Deck. This is on top of that. So
the goal with this is to get it to 1080p and then upscale to 4K.
Either a high-end 1080p or a low-end 1440p.
1440p.
And upscale.
And like you think about like in a pre-tariff world, this was a $600 box. Or $700 box.
Yeah, at
maybe
different
$500 box.
I mean, especially with the DRAM prices going up.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Well, I mean that maybe look bubbles pop.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
But like I'm for real. Like they've been working on this machine for a few years, clearly, and in a no tariff time, this could have been a $500 box, and now it's going to be $800 or $900. I bet.
Yeah, I bet they try to go for PS5 Pro. I bet it's like $800.
I bet they want to. So. If it's cheaper than that, then we'll know that they are going to make a bunch of money on game sales because they know the people who buy this hardware play games.
Yeah.
And if it's more expensive than that, then, well, who knows?
Yeah. Willis.
So far, this box is purely for gaming. Can you guys see it?
Not purely.
Can you guys see it more into like a multimedia, kind of like box, like for streaming and?
Actually, how does Linux do with streaming?
It's good. So you can
make it a Plex server.
Well, you probably want to make it a Plex server because you don't want to put a bunch of drives in it.
True. Yeah.
But you could make it a Plex client and have a server someplace else in your house, or have some other pipeline for video into your Plex or Jellyfin or whatever. And that totally works. Like you can put there's a Linux like 10-foot interface Plex client that is shipping and great and is analogous to like what's on Apple TV or Roku.
Okay.
And you can use oh God, what's the Steam Deck thing? Not Decky Loader, the other one, to basically integrate it with the Steam 10-foot interface. So you'll boot up into your Steam 10-foot interface and then launch Plex from there.
Yeah.
The place it breaks down is with stuff like Netflix and Hulu and your other streaming clients, which are unevenly supported on Linux.
You could run to the desktop and run it through the browser, right?
Yeah, but if I'm sitting in my sitting in my living room, I don't want to do that.
So like an app would be a good solution. Like
but nobody makes apps for those things for Linux. So
should they?
Yeah,
I mean they should do a lot of things. The one thing that they didn't talk about with this that I haven't seen anybody talk about, I meant to ask Steve or Sean about, is what the remote support is like. So. Does this do the console thing where like you can hit the power button on your gamepad and it wakes up the console and turns on your TV and all that like the PlayStation or Switch do?
I would hope so.
And I would assume so. The Steam Deck has gotten to that point finally. It took a while.
Also, one of the recent updates to the Steam Deck allowed for background game downloads.
Yes.
So
huge
benefit. This would make sense
there.
Yeah.
Like they've over the last 3 years of the Steam Deck's life, they've gotten to a point where it is now like feature compatible, complete with what I would expect from like a Switch or a PS5 or whatever. And I think that this is all like Valve is really good at looking at a really difficult problem and block and tackling it out until they get to the 3,000 small steps that have to make that difficult problem commercially viable for normal human beings.
Yeah. I have a question. They talked about the future of the Steam Deck. And all of this is built off of the success. I mean, maybe not the headset, but the machine and the controller built off that kind of success. What would you want to see in a Steam Deck 2? Knowing that now knowing this Steam machine exists, what could they integrate from the Steam machine back into a Steam Deck 2? Is there any way to parse out like, oh, this is where they're heading?
Well, so to me, this is TV Steam Deck, not Steam Deck, not TV Steam Deck. Like my assumption is when Steam Deck 2 comes out, it's going to be tied to the capabilities of the next gen hardware, console hardware, in terms of ray tracing and frame gen and all that stuff. And then we'll see a Steam machine equivalent to that Steam Deck sometime in downstream.
Well, because the other way I was thinking about it was, what if we get a Steam Deck that is a cut down version of these specs?
We have that Steam Deck right now.
I know, but like less than 6 times less powerful. What if it's like, hey,
Nope.
you know what?
6 times less powerful is exactly what you need to run that software at the min spec.
I wonder.
No, I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
like if their whole thing seems to be,
Well, I mean, no matter what, it's going to be more. The next Steam Deck is going to be more powerful. But will they base it off of this?
no, they're going to base it off of the next gen consoles. So their goal is,
Well, but I would have thought they would have done that with this, dude. Like the next gen consoles are already, within the next couple years.
But do they know what they're capable of?
I mean, but Sony has gotten out already for a year now and tipped their hand towards ray tracing, AI, upscaling, all that kind of stuff. So like they've already tipped that hand for a while.
The next gen Steam Deck will be something that can run PS6 games with the stuff turned on ish at 1280 by or whatever resolution the screen is.
So you think this is a response to them targeting the consoles as they are now?
Yeah, this is a machine to run this generation's console games on your PC, not the other way around.
Yeah,
there's no reason to build something forward looking because it'll cost $2,000.
Yeah.
Like that's the
the
bet is that this thing
Halo,
should be
probably,
cheap
right?
enough that you can replace it. And no, I don't think it's Strix Halo because Strix Halo is
RDNA 3.5.
not. It doesn't have the right GPU cores. Like they need a frame gen with the warp stuff, the perspective warp, and all that business in there. And AMD doesn't have those GPUs available yet.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, last question. So we need to get out of here from unknown user 326. Welcome. I wiped my desktop and installed Ubuntu.
Nice.
Any interesting stuff I should install? You folks made me willing to ditch Windows on my primary desktop PC.
Wow.
Hey, welcome to a larger.
Hopefully you're subscribed to the Dual Boot Diaries podcast.
Yeah.
Where we talk about Linux over there. But they put it in the full nerd question thing, and I wanted to see what's your go-to applications for Linux.
I mean, it's the stuff I use for work, though. It's stuff like
same.
Notion and Slack and Discord and. I was looking at things that are like Miro. I don't know if you know what Miro and Figma are kind of the same idea. They're like mapping like things to do 2D representations of like large problem sets and data sets and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So those are good.
I'll tell you one of mine, and I know it comes built into Ubuntu. C Matrix. So essentially, it's your terminal window, but it's just the matrix code. That's it.
I see a jelly donut.
Yeah.
I see a cinnamon
lady in a red dress.
So
like, I mean, it's built into Ubuntu, so that's not really your question. But
cookies.
That's sushi recipe.
This is fun. Also, Mission Center. I like Mission Center. If you're trying to look for a quick and easy tool to look at performance of your system, like it looks just like Task Manager in Windows. If you're familiar to that, like literally. In the verbiage it uses, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, good question. I would say we talk about this a little bit more on Dual Boot Diary, so maybe subscribe over there.
Yeah, like for me, it's about getting to the point that I can do the things that I need to use my computer for.
The same
right
exact
now.
stuff.
Yeah, like being able to do the same work. That said, I've enjoyed stuff like, hey, there's a bunch of more tools to do like dynamic wallpapers and stuff like that, and you can kind of get fancy in a way that I wasn't able to do before, and also like experiment with different desktop environments. Like you're not limited to KDE and GNOME would be my thing. Like load up some live distros that let you see how other stuff works.
Yeah, they didn't say which version of Ubuntu, but I'm going to assume it's the
probably vanilla.
Yeah, vanilla. So congratulations and good luck. And yeah, I want to bring up again, it's a testament to how easy Linux is that I'm using it. I'm literally now just using it on this laptop.
Yeah.
I don't even have a Windows installed on this laptop. I'm still using it on my desktop at home and my gaming PC. Like I haven't got there yet, but like I can get there. I really do think I can get there. Anyway, let's wrap it up.
Okay.
We're done.
That's it?
I mean, well, we have other questions, but without Elena and Brad, I think I'm just going to
I can do the voices again if you want.
You know what?
It's frowned upon.
As good as those voices were,
oh, man.
I'm going to say no.
Well, I feel very condescended, too.
I have one.
Oh, you got a question.
So,
Willis, last
you
question.
know, it is like mid-November right now, and we still got a month and a half left. Is the year of 2025 the year of Linux?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
100%.
We talk about that over on the Dual Diaries.
Conversation. Yeah. We start every show. It's how we're not experts. We're just trying Linux. And is this the year of Linux? Yeah, sure. Why not?
Actually, I really liked Sean's answer. It's like whatever year you get in on is the year of Linux.
The year of Linux.
Yeah. And it feels like more people now than ever have been getting on this year. So
yep.
Try it out. Check back next week for your fix of PC related talk here on The Full Nerd. To subscribe to us and listen to us on the go, you can subscribe over to Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, Pocket Cast, Deezer, iHeartRadio, anywhere that accepts an RSS feed. You will hopefully find us there. And while you're there, leave us a nice review, a comment, 5 stars, thumbs up, whatever the thing is. Can hopefully give us a little bit of boost in the search results. But if you want to be the tip of the iceberg and one of those people who tunes in live, you can come over and subscribe on the Full Nerd Network on YouTube. We stream live every Tuesday starting at 11 a.m.-ish Pacific. Not always
we had to skip
exactly
this week
11 a.m.
The office was shut down yesterday.
Yeah. That's why we're doing it on Wednesday. Yeah. I forgot about that. Good point. And yeah, we good group chatting in the live chat. Always appreciate all the people in the live chat. Thank you so much. And if you're like, you know what, this whole podcast thing is not for me, and I want to read the written word, you can subscribe to the Full Nerd newsletter written by one Elena Yee. She's not on the TV right now, but I pointed to it anyway. You can go over to PCWorld.com /newsletters
with an S
/sign up.
Yeah.
To sign up for the Full Nerd newsletter. And we have other fine newsletters as well, but fresh on every Friday to your inbox without fail. Too. She's been very
really,
consistent
really
about it.
Yeah.
And even when she can't do it, she has Brad fill in or somebody.
Yeah.
And not only talks about what we talk about here on this episode, she also talks about other stuff that she feels like this audience would appreciate.
Yeah.
And the top of the newsletter is usually some sort of rant. If you want to read an Elena rant,
she gets cranked up.
Yeah. Also, I like her headlines.
She just popped in, by the way.
Oh, yeah. She did just pop in. Elena, I really liked your headline from this last one. Essentially, it said something around, hardware as a service. That's a no for me, dog.
Yeah.
DAWG.
I like that.
So if you want to hear Elena say more millennial speak,
the thing
this is the newsletter.
The thing I really want is to hear this newsletter in audio form.
I know, me too.
Like, I would love to have an official podcast of the newsletter.
Yeah.
For the podcast.
Yeah, true. Me too.
I would love to hear Elena say subscription-based hardware, that's a no from me, dog. And then
in her voice.
Yeah, and then just yell in the microphone for a few minutes.
Yeah. If you want to hear that too, please, in the chat, say, I want the podcast. Elena, the podcast.
Yeah.
Podcast.
Elena, please, dear Elena, please do a podcast.
Just say something in the chat just to know that the outpouring of support for audio based rants.
And if you're in your car, just scream.
Just scream.
Primal yell.
Scream. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, that's it. We're gonna get out of here. I want to thank Steve from One Gamers Nexus for stopping by. You can go subscribe over on his YouTube. He's got a website. I think it's gamersnexus.net. Is his website?
He posts stuff without ads there. It's wild. His articles. There's almost always articles for the there's ads for the store, I guess, which are still ads. But
yeah, sure.
Anyway, the point is he posts articles. If you like to read instead of watch YouTube videos, there's articles of the videos mostly there. So.
Yeah, true. And thank you for Sean Hollister from The Verge stopping by. They're doing an AMA about all this new Valve hardware, hopefully still maybe over on theverge.com. He also did do some vertical video on TikTok, if you're into that.
Oh, the TikTok.
He does good vertical video.
He's a good vertical guy.
Yeah. I know not everybody's into the vertical video stuff, but if you are, then go over there. Thank you guys for showing up, especially last minute. It was literally like 10 a.m. and I was like, hey, do you want to pop in?
Well, yeah, the embargo was 10 a.m. So yeah, we were all calling everybody we know who went. Yeah. Anyway,
I want to thank you too, Will.
Hey, you're welcome.
I haven't seen you in
5 days.
Yeah, I was off starting last Thursday.
Yeah.
Didn't come back.
Feels like it's been a while.
It's been a while. Yeah.
It's good to see you.
We have to record Doobie
The beard's back, so you look almost normal.
Pretty
again.
much.
You need to trim up the neck a
Almost.
little
It's,
bit.
yeah.
You look a little, I don't know.
It's getting there. It's getting there. I want to thank you, the fine watcher and listener of this podcast. I really appreciate you. Boom.
You're
heart.
welcome.
Also, I want to thank the man controlling verticals horizontals, Willis Lai. Get us out of here, Will.
Alrighty. Will.
Sorry.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in with us, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.